Get the club to pop when I come up with the crop. Gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the club spot. Get the club to pop when I come up with the club spot. Get the club to pop when I come up with the club spot. Get the club to pop when I come up with the club spot. Get the club to pop when I come up with everybody. We do it. Everybody. We do it.
Okay, I had to cut that intro early because fucking Final Cut Pro decided to crash on me minutes before making my damn intro like I always do on an everyday fucking session. And it crashed. Final Cut Pro fucking crashed, completely erased my intro that I've had. So basically the intro that was playing now was still having the thumbnail for last week. I'm not going to do that to my man Dan, so I had to cut that shit short. Technical difficulties. Technology, what the fuck you gonna do about it? Nothing. What is good, everybody? It's your boy MJ in the motherfucking building. Welcome to another episode of Trap Talk Podcast, man. Shout out to all my early birds in the building. If you're first time tuning in, tapping into this, do me a fucking solid, man. Hit the living shit of that like button like a damn redheaded stepchild. Just beat the shit out of it for me, okay? First and foremost, leave me a comment. Okay, then hit the subscribe button on top of the notification bell so you're on top of every single trap session I come out with. The lives are lit. People love coming to the lives, as you can see. Comments been blowing up since 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and now we're here, man. We're live. I appreciate you guys, all the fucking feedback, DMs and emails every single day, literally. I mean, I could make you haters sick and just take snapshots and post it, which I typically do, but every day is a lot. But y'all know what it is, man. www.coldbloodedcafe.com. The freshest and best is delivered to your doorstep. $30 flat rate shipping, premium shit. Top shelf rodents, basically. Okay, you want to spoil your snakes? Get them some Cold Blooded Cafe, and you'll see the results. You got eggs? Put them in a sim box, man. My boy John, amazing things at sim containers. I'm telling you right now, 13 clutches, which isn't a lot, but all of them in a sim container this year. Killed it. 100% hatch rate. I was stoked. Can't get mad at that. Aussie Boyds, shout out to Aussie Boyds LLC, one of my greatest and bestest sponsors ever. My boy, my fucking support. I appreciate you, dog, so much. And shout out to Freedom Breeder, man, another amazing sponsor. Super OG Freedom Breeders, stainless steel racks, and they have that cocoa block as well, which is that premium fucking substrate, man. You can't go wrong. So I do have a lot. Look, last and final wave, guys. Okay, I'm telling you right now, I had some 2XL homies who got short, and I had to order some new shirts. And there's a certain quantity you need to order. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna come out with another wave. So this is your last chance. This is your last chance to cop fucking limited edition #fuck Bob Smith t-shirt. Trap Talk Podcast shirt, limited edition. I'm telling you right now, it's a fucking once in a lifetime opportunity to get this shirt. So holler at me, $35 shipped to your doorstep, and email me or reach out to me, whatever you want to do. It's all good. But hit me up. I got that extra small all the way to 2XLs. I do want to give a couple shout outs on my motherfucking early birds, man. Oh, look, 1776, first one in the building. And they got my homie Balls of Paradise up in the fucking building. Chad 2. What up, Chad 2? I like that name, Chad 2. I'm going to shout out any really cool, unique names out there. I think Chad 2 is a really sick name. 845 Kennedy Reptiles. I hope I said that right. Pretty lit right now. Lit and hyper off the fucking the alpha pills or whatever the fuck. B&Z Exotics, man. My homie Mac Lorenzo. Mac, I got stickers still, man. Don't trip. They're lagging. So I got stickers coming your way. Don't even trip. My homie's Wiz Constrictors. Make sure you follow my homie Wiz Constrictors. He has some heat that's going on right now. So J Baby Reptiles. What's up, man? Ryan Hellander. Calvin Garcia. Calvin, I'm so sorry about fucking FedEx, man. Calvin just got some heat from the trap. Okay, I'm talking about heat. and it's on his way. And fucking FedEx, man, it's stuck in Ontario, which is not even far from him. I'm shipped within California. I'm sorry, bro. FedEx is fucking whack, bro. God, fuck, I don't want to get into that right now. But shout out to everyone in the comments. Oh, got Lucas, my homie Dylan. Okay, there's just so many homies in the building. We got to get going with this. Dylan McNeil, what up, Dylan McNeil? All right. So, guys, episode session, whatever the fuck, 38. I'm so blessed to be coming with these trap podcast sessions because they're only getting better. They're only getting fucking more real. And that's all I want to do is bring the realest shit to the fucking table. And, sometimes I'm going to bring people on where, like, it's not a fucking mainstream person or whatever the fuck. I'm not trying to bring mainstream people on. I'm trying to bring, I will, but really it's all about the realness, man. I want to bring fucking, originality is unique nowadays, right? You feel somebody's real and you're like, wow, that's fucking unique. And this is what I feel from the guy I have coming on tonight, my homie Mad Dan. He, I don't really know too much of him. We built, we're cool with each other off social media, off of Instagram. And I get a kick out of his stories because, it's just funny, dude. It's funny and it's as real as it gets. And my man, he's repping the Braves right now, and that's cool because the Dodgers whipped their ass. But I'm just kidding. What's up, Dan Magano? What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here tonight, man. I really am. I'm glad we tried scheduling this kind of more than once, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say one time I was down in South Carolina at Josh's. I think one night I was up at Nerd. It just didn't work out for a while there.
Yeah, it's all good, man. You're busy dude. Respect.
Yeah.
How's everything on your end, bro? So wait, hold on. Where are you at? Like, what's your city and where you repping right now?
I'm in Lyme, Connecticut.
Lyme, Connecticut. Okay.
Yeah. So everybody's heard of Lyme's disease. That's from here. So there's actually an island.
Think of that disease. Think of that disease if you ever want to know where Dan's from.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Lyme. Got it.
So, yeah, all right. There's an island out here called Plum Island, and they do a lot of like bio animal stuff, and it's thought that disease was something they were experimenting with there that got off the island and over the mainland here. But that's just a rumor, so who knows?
Well, shit, man. Rumors could be true, man. Conspiracies. Yeah. Well, fuck, Dan. I hope you're doing good tonight. I like I said, I was talking to the people. I was excited to bring you onto the show because, from following your page, you breed some really cool shit. You got a lot of cool stuff going on, and you're not really scared to really hide on like what kind of person you are. You're a fucking funny ass dude, man.
No.
We'll get into that, and I appreciate that a lot. How you keep it real all the time. But anyways, Dan, I want to really talk about, man, a lot of things, obviously reptiles, but what got you into the short tail game? And you keep olives and white lips, some some stuff that isn't like the fucking go-to when you're getting into reptiles, right? Like this is like keeper stuff. So let's if we could just backtrack a little bit, on why you're in the game, how'd you get into the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I started in like probably like 2002, 2003, right in there somewhere, right after I graduated high school. And I actually grew up terrified of snakes. And I was still afraid of snakes then, but I ended up, I've always had sleeping problems, and I was having sleeping problems at that time, and I was working overnights. So during the day, I couldn't sleep anyway. So I was like, I need to do something, not just sit around. So a friend of mine suggested that I go do some deliveries for this flower shop. I was like, hey, whatever, make some money while I can't sleep. So it turned out that she did rescue and rehabilitation of reptiles. Wow. So just hanging out there, I started to get kind of exposed to that stuff and kind of got more fascinated than scared, I guess. Plus watching like 5-year-old kids walk around with snakes. I'm like, I got to get over this shit. Like I can't live like this.
Right.
So it started there. And I think it's a cool way to come into the hobby because it's really shaped who I am as a breeder, knowing kind of the uglier side, if you will, of what people do with these animals and how they're treated.
Right.
So I'm more mindful when I'm selling animals that I really need to be, kind of a detective on everybody that inquires. And I stalk the shit out of people. So if you're trying to buy an animal from me, just know that I have stalked the shit out of everything I possibly can.
Dude, I don't blame you.
Like FBI level.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the reason why I'm so against fucking becoming a mass breeder because I know at some point I won't be able to give the kind of attention I give my snakes now. You know what I mean? Like I could fucking luckily, only having 13 clutches, I basically can almost track. No, I can track every customer I sold to, no problem. And if I want to touch base with them, and it's another thing too, man. I'm not gonna, I was like, I came into this hobby and I used to fucking be like, well, why are people doing snake giveaways? How the fuck they even know who they're giving that snake away to? And then I did a snake giveaway, and I was literally fucking paranoid. I remember on the giveaway, I was like, dude, what if I have to give this to some fucking person who like barely has money for a tank? Like, I'm like, this is a bad idea. Luckily, the snake went to somebody I knew, so that worked out. But dude,
I did a giveaway once, same thing. But what I did when I did the giveaway is I said, you must have proof of a proper setup, and then I have the right to refuse if I'm not comfortable. Fortunately, it was one of my customers that won it, somebody that I already sold animals to, so I knew it was solid. But I was sweating because there was a couple people on the list that I was like, oh man, I just really don't feel comfortable with that person, and I'm gonna have to refuse it if they win. And then, like, what's the purpose of doing it? And I you want to do that because you want to like give something to people that support you and all that.
Yeah.
But it's nerve-wracking because sometimes there's people that support you that are wonderful people, but they're not great keepers.
Yeah.
And, so you hope that over time that they pick that up and they get it better, but it's scary. Like, you see all the auctions. Everybody's auctioning off animals, and it's just whoever bids the most. I can't. I did one auction ever with a ball python years ago, and fortunately, the lady who won it is wonderful. I follow her on Instagram. She follows me, Facebook. She's had the snake for years. It's phenomenal looking, like takes great care of it. But I was like, you know what? I got lucky that one time. I'm never doing it again.
Yeah. So check this out. So I am actually doing a giveaway. At some point when I hit the 10,000 mark on Instagram, I'm actually doing a giveaway on my Patreon page. So I have a Patreon page. So I'm fucking, dude, Patreon, like, we all talk with each other. It's like a personal group. And I'm so comfortable doing a giveaway on my Patreon page. You know what I mean? Because, I just like you said, they're snakes, but these are snakes that I waited a long time to fucking breed and do something for. And I just can't just be like, oh, fucking here, $20, just get it off my hands. Like, oh, dude, like if I have a snake that I'm like, I have to fucking, sell it for wholesale, I would just somehow package it with the snake that's being sold with somebody. That's the way, that's the way I look at it. That's what I'll do, or something like that, because it has happened and shit. But anyways, all right. So Dan, that gives me a good understanding of your background, what these snakes are, what they are to you. I mean, you weren't raised with snakes in your hands. Obviously, you had a crazy fear of them, but now you got introduced to them. You got introduced to them in a point where you respect the living shit out of them, their well-being and all that stuff. So fuck, man, we definitely need a lot more people like you in the hobby. Respect. But project-wise, right? Let's kind of talk about the things like what were the first projects you were dipping your hands into and getting experience with?
Well, I didn't really. I messed around with breeding once in like 2006 or 2007. Okay. And I paired up some Australian water pythons, and I actually ended up getting out of snakes for a little while at that point. So I actually sold the female gravid to somebody else.
Wow.
And he hatched out the babies, and they went well. So I don't really necessarily count that because, like, I, put them together and got her gravid, but I really didn't do anything else beyond that. But that was my first dabble. I didn't go back into breeding again until 2013.
Okay.
And so the first season or two, I messed around with some ball pythons. Ball pythons were never my passion. So the snakes that I bred actually belonged to somebody else. Okay. And so I bred those animals while I was waiting for some short tail stuff to raise up. And then I started breeding the short tails in 2014. And then I phased out the ball pythons completely. And the last season I produced those was 2016.
Okay.
And, they're beautiful animals and all that, but I just don't find the personality stimulating. I like snakes when I'm working with them. I feel like they're as interested in me. Even if it's negatively, I just,
I feel you. Yeah. Give me some sort of fucking reaction. Like
let me know that you're aware that I even exist or that you exist or something. And I just never got that with ball pythons. They might bite once in a while. They might ball up and react, but there was just no real interaction. I never felt like the wheels were turning and they were trying to learn and figure things out. The short tails are on the total other side.
can I pause you for a second?
Yeah.
Do you think why so many other keepers other than ball python keepers look down on ball python keepers? Because like we're working with snakes that are like just not giving us any kind of positive or negative reaction. They're just fucking, they just sit there while we clean them. And like, you know, and let's be honest, why do people really, come on, why do people have ball pythons? They make money on, I mean, it's a fucking project. Like they, you know,
Yeah.
for the most part, you know, I'm just saying, there are people who just collect, but
Well, I think there's all kinds of reasons why people look down. Most of them are stupid because I don't know why people feel the need to look down. But
yeah, true.
you know, you work with balls enough to know that there's a lot of people in the community that kind of paint the community poorly.
Right.
And so then you kind of all get looped in there. And also, you see a lot of people that like breed ball pythons and they get a lot of ego about it. Like, oh, look what I'm doing. And I mean, you have to like try not to produce them once you get them rolling. They pretty much kind of do all the work themselves. And short tails are no different. You know, less is more with them. It's not like, you know, white lips where if you're successfully producing white lips over and over, that's an accomplishment. If you're producing, you know, certain scrub python species, that's an accomplishment because it takes years of trial and error. And even if somebody tells you, here's how you do it, it's not going to work in your house like it does in their house, and you're going to have to figure it out. Ball pythons, I mean, pretty much you put the male and female together enough and she's got follicle development, you know, you're going to eventually get eggs much of the time.
But you know, so we were talking earlier how like you're like, well, man, there's a person on this list. I just hope that doesn't get the snake.
Yeah.
Well, dude, there's fucking people out there that can't even get the ball python shit down. Like, you know what I mean? Like I see them, they build a marketing brand for themselves. Great. And like, they're on their second season of showing bad eggs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, and they're like, oh, it's just that kind of luck. No, it's not that kind of luck. You're doing something wrong. Like,
right.
You know, that's the way I feel like. That's why I'm like, it's not ever meant for, you know, it's not meant for everyone. I'm sorry, keep going.
I've never, knock on wood, had a slug out in any species. I had one ball python clutch where like only 2 or 3 eggs were good. Yeah. But that's literally the worst clutch I've ever had. And I think a lot of stuff is people don't keep the temps right. And then also people overfeed their animals and they don't realize the impact that has on successful egg production.
Really? But let's talk more about that because I didn't know that.
Well, especially in short tails, I can't really speak to ball pythons at all. Everything I've always kept lean.
Okay.
So if my females aren't breeding, they're what most people would probably look at as underweight. They're not underweight, but most people would probably think that because the hobby tends to keep things too heavy. Right. But for my short tails, I keep them real trim. And then if I'm going to breed a female, about 2 or 3 months before I'm going to pair her up, I'll up her food intake a little bit and just throw her a couple guinea pigs or something, get a little fat reserve going, and then she's good to go. The snake, I have a snake. I have 5 snakes out here with me that I'm going to pull out throughout this, but I'm going to save the best for last.
Yes.
And,
so there you go. You got a little. I mean, fuck, you spilled the beans, but you got a little show and tell coming from my man Dan. So okay, keep going.
Yeah. So, but she's a very lean animal, but she's a big animal. And she gave me a clutch that was almost double the size of an average clutch. And every single egg was good. And that's because she's kept so lean. And that species in particular, if they're kept obese, which are blood pythons, they just don't, they usually slug out more often than not. Short tails don't seem to slug out as much from it as bloods do. But blood pythons, if they're heavy, they'll slug. And it happens a lot. So you really, their metabolism's so slow that you've got to really temper your feeding, and it's hard not to overfeed them because they constantly want food. They're programmed as opportunistic ambush predators.
They fucking hit hard, bro, heavy.
Yeah.
Damn
so, you know, if I offered them food every single day, I would say 95% of them would eat every single day. They would die, but they would do it. So you've really got to kind of control yourself and figure it out. I don't feed on a schedule at all, which I think throws a lot of people off. I feed by the appearance of my animals and how they look and looking ahead at what my plan is with them. So like a male, I want a male with enough weight on him to go through breeding season, but I want him lean and wanting to breed. None of my males go off feed when breeding, so it's not a huge concern anyways, but you do want enough weight on them if they do happen to go off feed that you've got a few months to right that ship. But fat males are lazy and they don't breed as often, which is why you don't see me with anybody because got this gut over here, you know. Um, but yeah, so I keep my males really trim, and my males probably eat on average about once a month. But like I said, I don't feed them on a set schedule, so they might eat 3 times in a month, and then they might not eat for 6 weeks. I vary their prey size. I vary the items. So I mix in birds, rabbits, guinea pigs, rats. You know, just trying to vary their diet as much as possible. And I think people get so focused, and that's another thing with a lot of ball pythons. They can be pickier eaters. So people, if they get them to eat, they just stick with one prey item. But if you can start them off early and start them off on different stuff, I think it works better. And you get that more variety in there. It's a more natural diet.
And you're even talking with ball pythons as well. You're not even talking with bloods. You're saying you could even try.
You can, but you know, too many people. Well, probably in my opinion, one of the biggest problems with that is, like, for me, if I have a picky eater, that animal's not getting bred.
Right.
I don't care what it is. If it's picky, I don't want those genes passing on. Whereas I feel like when you're talking about the ball python thing, a lot of people have them for money. It's what can I get out of this? Can I get enough weight on it to breed it? And then they don't care what's getting passed down. And so we've taken opportunistic predators that are designed to take anything that comes along, and we've kind of, you know, made them divas, and so they'll only take certain things. And then, you know, in the wild, an animal that was picky is not going to survive. So those genetics aren't going to pass on. It's going to solve itself. In captivity, we do more to promote that stuff. And so that's a big part of what I do, is making sure that the animals I'm selling to people are quality animals that they can breed, and that are going to produce quality offspring. That's probably the most important thing to me.
That's definitely something overlooked. I can tell you that. Now, I don't know in the blood game, because I can tell you what, or in the short tail game, I when I first inquired short tails, or, you know, I think I had a couple of short tails and a blood python. Like one of the kind of textbook 101 things was the feeding, like the feeding regimens on them, like, you know, like careful on, you know, how much you feed them. That's always was something that's surrounded around those species of snakes. And it's, you know, it has more than do than well, fuck, you know, obesity. It also has to do with, you know, healthy clutches, like you're saying. Right. So wild, man. Okay, so you only keep short tail stuff. You don't keep any bloods, right?
No, I have bloods.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute too, because for a long time I thought they were the fucking same thing. For a long time, and I've only been in the hobby for 3 years, so, you know, when I say a long time, for over a year, it's a long time. So 2013 was your first your first short tail python clutch, right? You said.
No, I started breeding those in 2014, so I got my first eggs in 2015.
Okay, what was the pairing?
That was Tux to Sambuca. They were Sumatran short-tail pythons. Tux was a Jeff Hartwig line animal, very dark melanistic. Sambuca is a really nice chrome. And so you breed them together and you get kind of a mix of both. You get some dark head stuff, some chrome stuff. So that was my first clutch. She gave me 13 eggs. I had 11 hatch. One was like itty bitty and died a couple days after hatch. And then, as you do with breeding, you have a learning curve. I lost another baby that was actually going to be one of my holdbacks to dehydration. And that sounds like, oh, you know, crap care. But she was in a shoebox tub, and she had a water dish in there. But what I didn't know is that short tails won't always seek out water when they're young, and some won't at all. So she wasn't drinking out of the water dish, and by the time I realized there was a problem, it was too late. You know, baby snakes dehydrate much quicker than an adult. So when I found her, basically she died right in front of me. And so that was one of those things that I learned a hard lesson, and I felt terrible because, you know, I killed that animal just by ignorance, basically, and not knowing that, you know, you got to keep them on a little bit of water so it's always right with them. They don't have to seek it out. You know, now it's something I don't even think about, because that's one of those mistakes you make one time, and you don't ever make that mistake again. But it was a hard lesson, and I took it really, really hard. I'm always hard on myself, harder than anybody else could ever be. So, you know, I was like, oh, I should just throw in the towel now. I just killed this thing, you know, like, what a dick, and had to really kind of get myself righted there.
That's a very non-selfish thing to think about, though. You only want to get out because you don't want to keep fucking killing things, you know what I mean? Or keep, being a failure, even though you're going to fail it no matter what you try for the first few times, or dude, in what we do, you could fail all the damn time and just keep going, it's this thing. You have to be able to accept failure in this shit.
Oh, yeah.
100%. And that's one thing, like, man, I was like, I had like, I was a baseball player and I wasn't I had skills, but I was so mind fucked on doing bad, I couldn't do bad ever. So whenever I did bad, it fucked up my entire week, month, who knows? I don't know. I was just really in my head about that kind of shit. And that kind of lived within me throughout my whole life until I got into fucking reptiles and breeding reptiles. And then, I waited forever to the point of even, breeding fucking one clutch to understand that this clutch could just be all shit. Like I just need to expect that this clutch could just be all fucking dead, worthless. And I have to be okay with that. What I think about now, Dan, is when I breed a female, I want that female just to be alive after she lays. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
That's my first and foremost fucking thought and care, is that the female is going to be all right, because it sucked for her to fucking roll when, I'm the one that's fucking making her damn be pregnant, all this other shit. So that's, especially with the chondros, man. Like, I've only had 2 chondro clutches and fucking 2 for 28, bro. I've had 28 fucking eggs out of the 2 clutches and only 2 actually snakes to fucking thrive off of it. And in the females are, the moms made it, and that's all I care about. I hear fucking horror stories about chondros fucking just rolling after ovulations, after clutches, all sorts of shit, just rolling, just rolling over and dead. And it's like, man,
I've seen people kill them just from the stress of pairing them up too soon. They weren't ready to be paired, and they're really sensitive to certain things.
Yeah, that's why, like, okay, the last thing I want to do is take shortcuts and fuck myself over on something like that. So first off, I don't put a timeline in my head. They're ready when they're ready. Just keep feeding, and then when your animal, and I talk about knowing your animals, which we'll talk about in a minute too. You know when it's time. Instead of fucking just what's the question mark. Let me toss a male in there, and like you said, literally could stress them out to death. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Which is fucking what's the point of that? I waited 4 years to kill a snake. That's stupid. Right. So, but like we were talking about, I just accept the fact that anything could happen. This snake, I could come in tomorrow and all these snakes could be dead, and it's like, fuck, it just, you kind of have to accept that you're going to fail and shit is just going to happen when it happens,
Yeah. That's another thing. When you mentioned the ball community earlier, I've seen a few ball breeders that have been around, and they're like, oh, if somebody has a snake die, they're like, oh, you must be a shit keeper. It's like, sometimes they just die and there's no rhyme or reason. Obviously there's a reason, but there's nothing that you did. There was no signs of anything. It just happens sometimes. Sometimes it's even on a genetic level where they hit sexual maturity, something happens, right. Something doesn't go right. These all kinds of things that can happen with these animals. Right. And I've lost some. I've lost some that I have no idea what happened. I had a holdback blood python that if you had me list my, say, 100 and something snakes and put them in order of like healthiest to the worst, she would have been like top 3 or 4 animals in my collection. I produced her here. She never had a piece of stuck shed. She never had a stuck eye cap. She ate great. She was growing phenomenally. She was beautiful, healthy, nice skin tone, good sclerulation. And one day I just came in there and she was dead. Nothing. I had a video of her from like 2 days prior.
Didn't show any signs, no signs of anything during that video.
Perfectly healthy. Everything was all good. She hadn't eaten in like 7 or 8 days, so I don't think it was anything to do with food. And she was just belly up dead. And
crazy.
I had her for like 3 years, and it just happens.
Yeah, it does. So, it really does. That's why it's. I mean, I don't know, man. You just. I mean, when shit really hits. Okay, so when was it? I mean, we were talking about like saying fuck it. You're talking about okay, maybe I should just quit. I had so many when I was like, bro. Okay, so Dan, I got into ball pythons and was like, okay, dude, there's there's way too many motherfuckers involved with this ball python shit. I was like, I had home like my boys like Miguel and people were like really big people in it, and I'm like, dude, it's like it's chasing a never ending fucking like what you're just going and going and there was just so many like, and I'm not rich either, so it's not like I fucking dropped 5G on a single fucking snake, So I was just like scratching my head, like, okay, what can I do to really enjoy it? And that's when I got into like mangrove, like dendros and shit, and fucking like, you know, white lips and olives. And I went from just working from ball pythons to like 10 different species, dude. And
Yeah.
I was having shit escape. I was having shit just fucking like, I was like, what the I was having shit roll on me. And I remember I would have like a 12-hour day at work. I'd come in and like, I remember that was the point where I was like, I didn't want to go in my snake room anymore, bro. Because I was like, this is going to be work. Like, this is going to be fucking like, this isn't fun. Like, I literally remember just toss my hands up. I'm like, this isn't fun. What am I doing? Like, what the fuck did I do? So I eliminated like fucking like four species out of that, and just really kept things I was really excited about working with and stuff I didn't have to pull my hair over, you know, keeping and stuff. So, you know, I just knew, I was like, I'm not ready to give up. You know, I just need to get practical with myself. Like, I'm just like, yeah, I like snakes, but I've never owned more than one snake my entire life until now. Now I want to just fucking be this fucking, you know what I mean? Like, and I wasn't getting these animals for content at all, period. I was getting animals because I could get these animals. I couldn't believe I could get these animals to my fucking doorstep. You know what I mean? And you know, I just couldn't believe it was that easy. You know what I mean? And so
that's the hardest thing coming in.
Yeah.
Is you don't have a feel for the work, the space, the time, all those things. It's so easy, especially with babies. It's so easy to buy a bunch of babies, stick them in a little shoebox rack, and life is good. And then all of a sudden you've got 6 foot, 8 foot cages or 4 foot cages, huge, like, and it becomes a lot more. And that's why, like, you know, I'll be stressed out about cleaning my collection and stuff. And people with like ball python collections will be like, oh, what's the big deal? I got 100 snakes. It's like, if you have 100 ball pythons, I can clean 100 ball pythons in a night easy.
Oh, we're not even
6 foot cages. I got to climb inside and scrub walls. Like, it's not cleaning a 41 quart tub that I can clean in 2 minutes. I'm in some of these cages for half an hour cleaning. So it's a lot of work when you get into this other species. Plus, ball pythons are pretty clean. They're not, you know, it's not like some of this other stuff where it's smearing shit all over the walls. Like people that keep cobras, God bless them. I've been there. Like they just shit everywhere.
I'm pretty, dude. I'm not even mad at the name false water cobra, because a false water acts exactly like a fucking cobra, bro. I'm not fucking kidding you. The way they do everything, it's crazy. The way they shit, it's no joke, bro. But those are species where I couldn't let go of those. I have a hypo and a super hypo, and hypo and a super hypo, but those things are just so neat. And I know, like, man, I had one hot my entire life. Her name was Amino, really nice speckled rattlesnake. I got caught fucking handling her way too many times where my wife was complaining about having nightmares. So I had to fucking give that away. I think I could ever get close enough to ever doing something like that again is the false water cobras or the mangroves. But the false waters, I'm telling you, man, have you ever handled or played with false water cobras like an adult? Or
I have not. I mean, I used to have a monocled cobra, so I've dealt with real cobras, but I've not dealt with cobras.
Dude, they're something else, man. Hopefully someday. I don't know. We got to get you out to California.
I don't even think I've seen one in person that I can think of. I know a bunch of people that have them, but I've just never been to somebody's house.
Oh, you've actually, okay. You never actually held one. Okay. Once that day happens, you'll remember this episode and you'll be like, huh, MJ was right.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things when I got into the white lips. A lot of people told me, like, listen, they can be a real pain in the ass. And my whole thing was, and I had a little too much ego at that time, I think too. I've kept African rocks since I started keeping snakes. Well, not since I started keeping, but you know, a few years after. So I've been around them for, you know, like 17 years or something, close to it. And they're my favorite species. I love them. A lot of people are terrified of them. They don't scare me remotely. I know how to read them. I know how to work with them. I've only been bitten by one once. I mean, I've had plenty try, but only one that was successful. And so I got the white lips, and I'm like, I'm prepared for this. I was not prepared. My female is Satan, and she can cover corner to corner in that cage like nothing I've ever seen.
Bro, honestly, dude, I've had white lips for 3 years, and I finally got my female. Her name was Amy Fisher, and she's not named Amy Fisher no more because she's like, I just realized how to work, like how to get her out. And she's not like, I don't know, but if they want to turn it on, bro, they will fucking turn it on, and they will literally launch their body at you. Mm-hmm. Like I'm talking about, they'll be off the floor. I'm talking about like a they become a flying snake, but they're coming at you.
Yeah.
And fucking dude, I got tagged pretty hard like about a month ago, and yeah, man, it hurt, bro. Those fucking teeth hurt. Those teeth hurt.
Yeah, my understanding is they have the most teeth of any python. I can't tell you that that's true for sure.
I don't know. I had a lot of tiny holes in my hand for sure.
And I've also heard they have the most accurate strike of any python too. And
yeah.
I've watched my female. She hates the hook. So if she sees the hook coming,
dude, the hook was the enemy. No, dude, the hook was my enemy the entire time. So I got rid of the hook and I used a tub lid. So whatever the plastic, the tub, and it has to be clear. It can't be fucking like she has to be able to, I don't know what it is, but the clear tub, she looks, but then she just starts moving, and I just fucking I swoop her up, and she's the kind of snake that once she's out, like if you go in front of her face, she'll still hit you, but she's not looking to hit you. Like
right.
Just like
white lips are that way. They're extremely cage defensive. So when you go into their territory, they are just ugh. Even my male, who's really calm, is a maniac in his cage. Like you've got to get him out quick. And with him, the quicker you get him out, the better, because if you prolong it and it becomes a thing, then he gets more and more stressed. If you just grab him and get him out quick, he's fine. My female, though, I can't even get her out of her cage. So I actually have a shift box with her. Ooh, what happened?
What's this one? Is this your with female, male?
Oh, no, that's the male.
Okay.
Here, hang on a second.
We
can make this a little bit easier.
All right, here we go.
All right. I just got to get mussed a little bit first. That's the rule.
Show and tell for you guys. Dan's going to bring a little bit of taste of. All right.
Here he is.
Just on you, okay, Dan?
Okay. Yeah, so he's this is my male southern white lip. He'll race around a little bit in the beginning, and like he's musking me right now, and he'll do stuff like that. Once he calms down, he'll actually sleep in my arms, and he doesn't ever try to bite me. And of course, now I'll get bit because I said that. But he's never actually swung at me or anything. He just gets nervous. He'll bump in and go the other way. He's always very interested in everything around him. But he's great. The female, I've only been able to handle her once, and I've had her for like 2.5 years. And I was able to do it outside because she was so distracted by being outside and other stimuli that she kind of let me live. But inside, I use a shift box with her, and I take her out and with that. And I don't really do it so much for me as I do it for her. It keeps her calmer because she was getting so stressed out from our interactions that she was repeatedly just beating her face up off the cage and stuff like that. And I didn't want her to keep doing that. See how he bumps me and then jerks away? Now, unfortunately, when white lips are not nice like he is, when they bump, that's where you get bit. And he's a southern white lip, not a northern. So these guys are more black. And then, all white on the belly there. You can see that. He's just a great little guy, great snake.
These are more docile. These are more docile out of the two, correct? Out of the northern and southern. Southerns are known to be a lot more chill.
Yeah, well, tell that to my female. She's not, but yeah, supposedly they're supposed to be that way. But she's just horrible. And like I said, I have like 3 or 4 pictures of her out because I happened to get her out that day and I was able to get pictures of her. But otherwise, I haven't really held her. But I always say, we have to keep on snakes' terms. And so since it stresses her out so much, if I can work with her hands off, I'll work with her hands off. If I have to be hands-on, I will. It's, something imperative for her. But this guy tolerates handling really well once he settles down. Like I said, I have a couple of videos on my YouTube channel you can check out with him. And you'll see eventually after about 10 or 15 minutes, he's asleep in my arms and gone. He's not moving, he's out and whatever. So it's pretty cool.
How long you've had that one for now?
The male, I got him shortly after the female. I've probably had him right about 2 years. I would have to look back at my records. He's a 2016, so he's 4 years old this year, and you can still see he's not huge. These guys are another species. You got to be really careful you don't overfeed. But I mix a lot of birds in their diet because it's a leaner food and something that I think is a little bit more natural for them. They still eat rodents too, both of them, but I definitely mix in birds. and especially him lately. But I'm trying to get some size on him now. I'm hoping next year I'll be able to pair them up. But she's a monster. She's pushing like 9 feet. So if I put him in there with her right now, she's going to kill him, no question.
Meaning she's gonna fuck him up like aggressively.
Yeah, white lips are known to sometimes kill their mates, and she's super reactive in her cage. I'm actually really nervous about when I get to the point of introducing them. I'm thinking if I have the money to do it, or if I can borrow one, I'm gonna try to ultrasound her so I know she has follicle growth before I put him in there, just to give him the best possible chance. Not so much for a successful breeding, which would be great, but for his safety.
You know who Ryan Young is?
Yeah.
We did a Unfiltered Reptiles podcast with Ryan Young, and he like when I think Steven or I brought up the whole, hey, white lips, have they eaten each other? And he like kind of smirked at it. He's like I don't know of one incident of that ever happening.
I don't know of any eating each other, but I do know of instances where the female bit the male and he died.
From a bite?
So, what's that?
From a bite?
Yeah. Blake Wilson actually lost his male that way.
Wow,
the female bit him right in the head just perfectly. And
it's terrible.
He survived initially, but he died from the injury shortly thereafter. And I know a few other people that have had issues. Olives are the same way. Olive pythons have definitely killed their mates, but like, not as bad as say like some king snakes or Papuan pythons are known for killing their mates quite frequently. It's actually harder to find males in that species than it is to find females, because that's what happens.
Yeah, the males are always getting eaten.
Yeah. So
it's the males getting eaten, correct?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So with this guy, I'd like him to at least put on another 1.5 feet or so before I put him in there. And then my plan is to make some kind of a hide that he can get into that she can't fit. So at least he has a reprieve to get away from her. And then I'm probably going to put him in a tote inside of her cage for the first day or two to let them get acclimated to each other through the tote, and then, hope for the best.
I think you're going to be all right. I mean, have you ever tried this while cleaning? Have you ever kind of like, because she's a bitch, so you don't let her really kind of roam around, do you, when it comes to cleaning?
No.
Oh, got it. I was going to say, maybe you should just have like maybe both of them out chilling next to each other while you're cleaning and just see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah, my plan is before I pair them up the summer next year to try to get her outside again and get him outside at the same time. And I'm not going to necessarily let them touch each other, but be very close and be aware of each other's presence and just kind of see how she reacts to it. So that is on my agenda to do. And then I may even start before I pair them up. I might take one of his sheds, throw a shed in there, just to get his scent kind of in her cage. So when he's actually in there, it's not all of a sudden like a foreign smell. So it'll just be the sight-based change and stimulus I have to worry about. But what worries me with her in particular is she'll move quickly in her cage, and she has a 32-quart tub in there that's her water dish.
Right.
And she's in a big 6x3. And if she moves fast and the water shakes, she'll actually strike and go after the water. And so it worries me that if he moves quickly in there, that she might go after him in the same manner. She's bitten herself a couple of times. Like, she's just really high strung.
So she's spazzy.
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple of times that I went in there and she bit herself, and then she wrapped herself up, and then she was basically fighting herself, because in her mind, she's feeling the pain on her back end. So she's trying to pull away. And then also in her mind, she's trying to constrict tighter because what she's biting is trying to get away. So you could see her trying to multitask. And so she was basically pulling herself apart, trying to both constrict herself tighter and escape the pain she's feeling. So I had to just shut the lights off in the room and leave and let her calm down, and then she let herself go. So she's definitely a wacko animal. And what worries me the most is I love him so much that like I would be devastated if I lost him. I'd be devastated even if I didn't like him. But like he's one of my favorite snakes. And I'm like, I can just see a scenario where I'm stuck with the bad kid and I lose the good kid. So
I just saw like a murder story like that not too long ago. It was pretty fucked up. Well, I mean, I would fucking straight Navy SEAL, fucking camouflage, whatever the fuck, just be right there in front of it, be ready to pull them apart. You know, I mean,
oh yeah,
and let that fool get bigger. You know, let him be bigger. You know,
yeah, definitely want him to be
smart.
bigger, and I definitely want to give him an area he can get away from her if he wants to.
Right.
You know, and then from there it'll just be whatever day I pair them up. I'll be planning on reading a book in front of that cage for most of that day. When I first paired my olives for the first time, I was there for like 3.5 hours before I left the room. But my olive pair gets along famously. They are great.
Yeah,
So
I had a good. Good.
I leave them together for like 3 weeks at a clip sometimes, and I don't worry about a thing. The only thing I don't do is I don't feed any of the other snakes in that room while they're paired up. I'll pull them apart if I'm going to feed, just because the female is very, very food motivated. Yep. The male eats every time offered, but I can just go into his cage and grab him without a hook. With her, like, you don't reach into her cage unless you want teeth. And she's not mean. She's just super food motivated.
For which olives are, that's olives, period. And all.
Yeah, my male is the outlier. He's not at all. Like, every time you stick food in front of his face, he'll take it. But I could probably hand him food out of my hand like this, and he would take it gently. Like, he doesn't come flying out. He's not crazy like that. She's the one where, like, you can throw it from across the room and she'll catch it out of the air. You know, she's on it and very accurate.
So what's the deal with your olive pythons? How long have you been pairing those up? What's the project like with those?
So my female is a 2011 animal. The male is a 2015. It's really funny because everything that I read and everything that I've heard about people struggling with olives is they're struggling because they can't get copulation. Like, they need a second male or a shed from another male. My male tags the shit out of her. So they breed great. They get along great. And I think the fact that they get along so well probably helps with the breeding. But I just haven't gotten her to ovulate yet. And I think most of the problem is that in the past 2 years that I've tried to breed them, I've not been able to get them cool enough. I had them in the room with the short tails, and I run a lot of ambient, so I can't drop the temperature in that room to get them cold enough. Now I have the female in a room that's not ambient, and I have the male in my living room on the floor, basically. His cage is like this high off the floor. So this year I should be able to drop the shit out of them where I need to get them. And so I'm hoping that that will get me over that hump. Because in the past, I wasn't able to get them down below like maybe 72. And they really need to hit like 60 degrees. So
60.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
olives need to get cold. They don't need like 60 degrees all day, but overnight they need that temperature drop.
That's a huge drop.
Yeah.
60. Wow.
Australian stuff is tough as nails anyways. They can handle 40 degrees and they can handle 100 degrees. So
I ended up, because I had pop ones. I have a group of pop ones, and I have olives. I had 3 olives and I had 3 pop ones.
I don't know if you can see, as I said, he's like basically asleep now.
Is he knocked out?
Yeah.
Oh, he's chilling.
Yep. So now he'll just sit there like that unless I move too much, then he'll wake up.
He's just a boy.
Huh?
He's just a boy.
Yeah, no, but it's so funny because he's so like racy in the beginning, and then he just calms down.
He knows where he's at.
So what were you saying about the olives?
Yeah, so I had the pop ones and I had the Australian olives, and I was, we were talking about space and all that shit earlier. Well, that was a factor for me, and I was like, I gotta do something. I'm gonna have to part ways with these Australians because I really want the pop ones. So, and they were, dude, I'm telling you, man. I had a 2016 pair that came in the same bag, fucking babies, and just, dude, they always got along, like you were saying, like no issue at all. The male was super nice, fucking female. So I feel like, dude, they're gonna be very compatible when it's time. So I ended up parting ways with those to a good friend of mine in the ball python hobby. Her name's Alyssa, and
I saw that episode actually.
Yeah, so she was like, she's like, so I give him like 110 hotspot, right? And I'm like, No, fuck that. Like, I mean, you can, but that's not how I've been raising them. Like, they've been chilling their entire lives in an 88 ambient and like 84 to like no hotter than 90 at the most. But you
Yeah.
know, just because they are a certain way in the wild doesn't mean you have to give them that in captivity. Like, you know what I mean? Things could thrive the way you have them in a room. I mean, the way I see it.
I think I've talked about this before other places. I think a lot of it has to do with how you start the babies.
Yeah.
I think babies are a lot more adaptable in some species. Some species are not as hardy, but stuff like that, they're pretty hardy. Short tails are pretty hardy. So however you raise them as babies, they'll usually handle that into adulthood. And I think where people get issues, even seasoned keepers, is they'll buy an animal. I mean, I had a problem with an animal that I got where I bought it from somebody who's fantastic. The animal came in very healthy, but he got sick here within a few weeks when I first got him. And I talked to the guy. Now, you know, I keep bloods and short tails in mass, so I'd like to think I know what I'm doing. And my temperatures were significantly lower than what he kept his at. So I had to adjust for that animal, and now he's fine. But because that animal was raised in an environment where the temperatures were hotter, he didn't handle the temperatures that my animals that have been raised here for years do great in. So sometimes I think, you know, that's my stupidity, I guess, or ego, whatever you want to call it, for not reaching out and saying, hey, what temperatures are you keeping this animal at? You know, because I think that has a lot to do with it. I know people that keep short tails at very low humidity, and I know people that keep them very high. I kind of keep mine somewhere in between. But I know people that keep them at two opposite extremes and are both people that are very successful. So I think it's just what your animals get used to when they're younger.
Yeah, 100%.
So I look at what animals do in the wild and I use that as a loose base for what I want to do, but I don't feel like you need to necessarily do everything like that.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't give my olives 110. But if they get up to a hot spot of like 100 in the summer, I don't worry about it. They'll be fine.
Yeah, it actually got pretty hot this summer in San Diego. Well, it was just fucking hot like not even a month ago. We were having like 96, 97. We got to one day we got to 110 in Spring Valley. And I was like, dude, this is nuts. What's happening?
It was unnaturally hot here this year. I actually lost my Thai bamboo rat. Because it got so hot, my AC didn't even keep up. Like we usually get like 6 or 7 days a year where it's like over 90 degrees here. And we had like 38 out of 40 days go that hot. So my house just was not cooling to the level that it usually does. And he ended up overheating and died. And I took that one really hard, of course, too. I felt like an idiot. I sent the breeder a message. I apologized to him. I'm like, you know, I hope in the future, you know, you'll sell me again. But I said, I killed this animal because I thought I could keep him cool enough in my house, and I couldn't, because they don't handle like 85 degrees or north of it. They die.
Right.
So I failed that little guy and felt bad. And he was really cool about it and was like, you don't have to apologize to me. And I'm like, well, you know, you produce that animal, like you have some kind of feelings for him. It crushes me when an animal dies that I sold somebody, you know? So,
right.
You know, I always feel guilty about that and, you know, reached out and talked to him. I'd love to get that species again, but I won't do it until I move. I need to be in a house where, you know, either I have a room in like the basement for stuff like that I can control a little bit better. But I won't put another one in that position. Selfishly, I'd love to get another one, but I'll definitely wait.
Well, how many of those did you have?
Just the one. I'm not a colubrid guy. Get this guy back and let him relax in here. But yeah, I'm not a real colubrid guy. I like my pythons. So every snake in my house, with the exception of one right now, is a python. I have the one I'll buy a boa, but that's a snake that technically isn't mine. Somebody asked me to watch it like 5 years ago, and then just never came back for it. So it's been here for 5 years, but it's not my animal.
I feel yeah, man, with colubrids, like if you really want to get shit going with colubrids, something where like you better not be working with a shit ton of other stuff, because it's like, you know, it's dialed in shit, man. With the colubrids, I feel like it's
yeah,
it's weird, man. Like I have like I said, I told you I dipped into a few species of Boiga and it was just too much, and I just kept the well, now I have Sania, right? I hope I said that right. But I have the Dendros and the Sanias now, and I don't know, man. They're fucking, they need big cages. I feel like that's important. They like to be high places. They're all over the place at night. You know what I mean? So, but breeding and shit, this is my first year actually pairing shit and seeing how that goes. And so far so good. I have a pair that's compatible and not trying to fucking eat each other.
Right. I actually was concerned when I moved that male white lip. I moved him out into my living room into a 4x2 recently. And I was concerned because he had been in Iraq his whole life that he was not going to handle it so well.
Yeah.
But he's been fantastic in there. He's out all the time. He does hide on occasion, but not that often. More often than not, he's out checking things out, watching me. I can go right up to the cage. He doesn't pull back. Once I open the door, he'll pull back.
Yeah.
But he's out almost every night. Once the lights go out, especially, he'll be climbing up on his bamboo, or he'll be sitting out in the cage, basically waiting for food. Which in the rack, he was always on top of his hide at night. He seemed to like to perch when he was waiting for food. So I don't know if that's something that they do a lot naturally in the wild. I don't know a whole lot about them in the wild. I don't think we do in general.
Yeah.
But I noticed at night he was almost always up high looking down. So I get a feeling that that's probably some sort of natural behavior for them.
Almost for every snake, I want to say, like, bro, like, Jesus, any snake I have, if it gets out, it wants to go to the highest point possible. Like, seriously, the highest point. Scrub.
Not short tails.
Not short tails. Yeah, my bad. So, yeah, because they're fat asses, can't get up. But, yeah, it's funny you said that. Yeah, they don't. Yeah. They're such a ground snake. It's not even fucking funny.
Oh, yeah. I don't. It's so funny because you see people and they have cage set up with like climbing opportunities. I'm like, oh my God, the thing's going to kill itself.
Yeah.
No balance, no sense of self-preservation. Like they will just throw themselves off the edge of something with no regard. Like not an animal I would give climbing opportunities at all. The olives, yes. My spotted python female's got a nice bamboo set up in there to climb on. She doesn't climb much though. Much less than I expected. I thought she would be more of a climber. But she's on the ground 95% of the time, if not more.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more of the short tail projects you got going on, because you do work with some very unique shit, man. And I'm sure you have some stuff to show. But I'm just gonna.
Yeah, I grabbed one short tail of each species, just to kind of show them off. So I guess we can talk about different projects with each individual here.
Yeah, let's do it, because I know stuff's different, and that's what I want to get to, because like I said, I was really confused with a blood python and a short tail and Sumatran, all sorts of shit. Very confusing stuff, I feel like, if you don't really pay attention. So kind of school me and whoever doesn't know exactly how these work with these species of snakes, if you don't mind.
Well, we'll start with the most complicated one.
All right. Cool.
So this is a Borneo short tail python. This is an animal I produced this past season. He really kind of cool. And the thing about Borneo shorttails is the genetics are really, really kind of complicated. And you get to a point where the more you learn, the less you know. So he comes from a sideswipe male, which the sideswipe gene basically erases the side pattern here. So I can't figure out which fingers are where. So this pattern on the side, he's not sideswipe from what I can tell. Although he's a bad example for this because he's kind of a real funky looking animal. But basically where you see that like yellowish color there on the sides, I'm terrible at this. I can't figure out which fingers are where. So this color on the side here, that yellow, when it's sideswiped, kind of washes out the whole side like that instead of being in like spotches. And if you guys follow me on like Instagram or YouTube or whatever, you can check out animals like Callisto, Orion, Astra. Those are all sideswipe animals, and you'll be able to see how that works. But basically that striping in there is just more uniform. Now, this animal has Ultra in its background as well, and Ultra also manipulates pattern as well as color. So it is possible that the Ultra and Sideswipe are kind of fighting each other. And so this animal could have that. Sideswipe we know as a dominant gene, meaning that if I pair a Sideswipe to a normal, half the offspring will be Sideswipe, half will be normal or wild type. There may be a super form, so it may be incomplete dominant, but nobody really knows for sure. So that's something I'm supposed to be working on proving, but every year I keep putting my animals to other projects and not going back and doing that. So I need to find some time and do that at some point. Probably next season I'll start working on that. The tough part about that is every single sideswipe animal I produced in that project I had to hold back, wait 4 years, breed it, and breed it to something normal so I can see if they're all sideswiped. So it's a lot of work, a lot of space to kind of dedicate. Right now, space is at a premium, which is why I really haven't gone that direction. Now, the reason that I held this particular animal back is his mother produces these babies here. It might be hard to see, but there's like a gray strip between that yellowish color and like the brown and his dorsal stripe there. It's not really showing up as gray as I would like on here, but it's much grayer in person. And so that gray is something that I want to play with and see where I can take that. I have a male that I wanted to use in this video for you guys, but he, of course, is in shed. And he really has a super gray line. So I've been raising him up for 3 years. This year, I'm hoping he's going to want to breed for me. And I'm going to try to put him back to his mother, who's where that gray comes from, and see where that goes. Now, Borneo shorttails, as their name would suggest, come from the island of Borneo. They are the middle size shorttail. Blood pythons are shorttails. Shorttails are not blood pythons. So bloods get the largest, Sumatran shorttails get the smallest, and the Borneos are in between. So these are my favorite species to breed, just because they're so polygenic and the genetics work so funky. You really kind of have to chase a dream with them, and you have to do your homework, and it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of playing hunches on how pairings are going to go together. So I really do enjoy that. Whereas the Sumatran shorttails are my favorite species from like a pet perspective. Obviously, this guy's great, and I have a lot of Borneos that are fantastic. I only have 2 that are, and I have more Borneos than anything else. I probably have, I don't know, 50 Borneos, maybe more. I don't know. I have a lot. So I definitely like them. Part of the reason I have so many is they're so polygenic. So you hatch a clutch out of, 13, 15 babies, and 13 of them are holdback quality. So yeah, thanks, Brett. Borneos are awesome. Like I said, I should have grabbed some more for this, but if you guys check out my YouTube channel, there's a lot of videos with Borneos on there.
I actually have the link to that in the description below. So make sure you guys, I'll make sure to remind you guys at the end, but make sure you give this full subscribe and follow his Instagram. Both those links will be down below. So yeah, go ahead, Jen.
I have to get better at posting on Instagram. My story I post all the time, but I haven't taken a lot of pictures. Like I've been so focused on YouTube.
That's the biggest pain in the ass, is just fucking posting it sometimes. It's just like, fuck. Or you just forget.
The story's easy. I just click and go.
Yeah, you just forget. And then you're like, fuck, you already wake up in the morning, you're like, son of a bitch. Like
my goal is like 1 Instagram post a day, and I probably post like 100 a year. So I'm doing terrible.
I have Lily here. Lily's fairly new to the hobby. What's up, Lily? She has a question on how big these will get.
Well, the last snake that I'm going to show you is an adult blood python, so that'll give you an idea at the end of the video. But cool. Generally speaking, for Borneo shorttails, I would say for a male, you're looking at probably somewhere from like 3.5 to 5 feet. Females might touch 6 feet. There are examples where they get bigger, but it doesn't happen very commonly with Borneos unless you're stuffing the shit out of them with food. Right. Sumatran shorttails tend to be a little bit smaller. So your males are in a similar range of like that 3.5 to 5 foot, but the females tend to kind of stop at like 5, 5.5, sometimes 6, but that's rare. Blood pythons get the largest. Bloods used to get a lot bigger than they get now. So they used to routinely hit 7 or 8 feet. Now it's not that common that you see them over 6 feet. So I don't know what's different in captivity that's affecting that, whether it's just the genetics used for breeding, whether it's how we're keeping them, whether it's how we're feeding them. But something's affecting them and they're getting smaller. But you can see that with boa constrictors too. Like you remember 15, 20 years ago, 8, 10, 12-foot boas were common. Now it's like most adult boas you see are 6.5, 7 feet. So there's a lot of species that are like that. And I don't know what it is. And I think part of some of the larger snakes' point of getting big is defense against predation and to take advantage of the food sources around them. So if we're not giving them large meals, you know, physical size, and they don't have any threats, maybe it's not advantageous for them to get that size. And that's just a pure hunch. I have no idea. But it's definitely strange to notice that they're getting smaller and smaller.
I'm glad Benny brought this up. What up, Benny? Brett Bender, that's my boy. But I feel like this is true. Like, what the fuck's up with that? Why are they so underrated, you feel like?
I think the biggest problem is most people that are coming after shorttails were dealing with ball pythons. And let's face it, most people going to any species are coming from ball pythons because they're just so commonly kept. Ball python genetics are very easy. It's recessive, it's dominant, it's incomplete dominant. You know, there's not a whole lot there of complication. Borneo genetics are very, very complicated. So something like the ultra gene, you can pair ultras to normals and get ultra animals in different levels of ultra. You can pair ultra to ultra, do that. You can get animals that don't really necessarily show ultra, but are from ultra lines and then throw ultra offspring. So it'll work as a recessive, but it'll also work kind of as a dominant, and then it also kind of works in various levels with the polygenicness. So people don't really understand the genetics, and so they're not as apt to get involved in the projects because they'll go like, you know, like an animal like this, I can't tell you what this is. I don't know. I know that he has genetic stripe. I know that he's very likely to throw ultra stuff just based on some of the things in his pattern and color and the lineage that he comes from. I don't, but there's a lot that I don't know about this animal, which is why I held him back to try to figure that out. The ocelot gene is another one that's really crazy. And you can have two animals that don't show anything ocelot and get ocelots from them. And you can pair two ocelots together and get non-ocelots. So, you know, it's frustrating to people that know, but it's really frustrating to new people coming in. And then also, I don't think they photograph particularly well. I mean, even on this video, like when I'm showing you this animal, I don't think he looks nearly as good looking at him on film as he looks right now in person.
Yeah, I bet.
So, you know, most people don't know they're just brown snakes. And there's just this animal alone. There's brown, there's tan, there's cream, there's white. You know, especially if you look down by the tail here and underneath, like that's all super cool white right there. And then it's got that very like caramel color. And then, you know, you got the dorsal stripe that's, you know, almost a yellow. So there's very little, to me, there's very little brown in the snake. That brown stripe right there on the neck is really about it. But some people look at, oh, it's just different shades of brown. And it's like, okay, well, if you want to be negative about it, so be it. But I find Borneos beautiful. They're very dramatic snakes. He's a bad example of that because, you know, he's an animal that I hatch, so he's calm. But they're known for thrashing around and flopping. And
jeez,
that can put some people off. Even the adults will do it sometimes, especially if like you hold them up in the air and people like hold them like something like that. That can like cause them to start flapping. And like I said, this is an animal I raised, so I can do anything this animal doesn't care. But a lot of them, that makes them nervous because they're so terrestrial, as we mentioned, that when they're up in the air and you're holding them, it's such an unnatural position to begin with. And then you're not supporting their body. So it just tends to make them nervous. So people see that kind of stuff. And then lastly, Bloods and Shorttails have a negative reputation from 30 years ago when everything was wild caught and people were keeping them too hot. These guys hate being overheated. So I don't let mine get over 85 degrees ever. And I keep their ambient between like 78 and 81, 82. So that seems to be their sweet spot where they do the best. So if you're giving them a hot spot north of that 85, you've got to give them plenty of room to get out of there. But if they're stuck, a lot of people will come over and keep them like ball pythons with a 90, 91 hot spot and a mid-80s ambient. And that's just a recipe for an evil, evil snake. For whatever reason, it affects their temperament like crazy.
I found that out the hard way too when I first started inquiring. I was like, dude, they're fucking so mean. And I forgot who it was, but they're like, yeah, do you need to turn that fucking heat down? And it changed. And it just everything changed. It was like keeping a light switch. Like, damn.
Yep. I tell people too, it's like literally like a half a degree mark where they're fine and they're chainsaws.
Yeah.
So if it goes over, like even on days during the summer here, my house just gets hot, and I'll just skip cleaning that day unless I have to, because you'll just start noticing everybody's in a bad mood. And by like the third one, where it's like normally a calm snake and it's going after you, like, all right, they're hot. Like, let's let them shit out.
I run pretty hot. Do you run hot?
What do you mean?
Like you're like I'm normally always hot. Like I'm like
Oh
fuck,
yeah,
I'm always hot.
I'm a winter person. I hate summer. I don't even go outside in the summer.
Yeah, I would rather be cooler than hotter. Does that make sense? So I feel like we're probably blood species. Short.
Yeah, that's probably why I have so many of them. We're kindred spirits, you know.
Yeah. All right, what do we got next? Show us what we got next.
Yeah, we're gonna do the Sumatran shorttails next, and this is probably what I'm most known for, as far as the snake species go. So this is an animal I produced here as well, and this is a melanistic animal, so it's very dark. And I have some of the darkest animals you'll see for these. So this female here is still coloring up, so she's going to keep getting blacker. So a lot of this side pattern that you see on her neck and her sides here, that's going to start to go away more and more as she gets older. I should have grabbed a hatchling from this year so you can see how much more pattern is present. But you see there's very little on her back.
That's what I'm talking about.
And so these get darker and darker. And I actually just sold her mother back to her original breeder, which is a really, really hard thing for me to do. There's circumstances that I can't really talk about because they're on the other person's end, not mine, where I just felt like it was the right thing to do. She's a great mentor to me and a great friend. And she regretted selling that snake from the day that she sold her, not because of who she sold her to, but just the reason she sold her, everything else. So I bit the bullet and sold the animal back, and it makes me cry every day because that was one of my favorite snakes, probably my favorite snake. But sometimes, you know, you have to remember who helped you in the hobby, and
it always comes back around too. It always will.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't even need to come back around because she's done so much for me. It was a no-brainer, but I do make sure that she knows that I'm upset about it. So I tell her all the time. But she did the same to me, so fair is fair. She used to guilt trip me about it, you know, just joking. But this is a snake I'm really excited to raise up. I was actually going to grab one of her older sisters, but she's in shed. I was hoping she was going to shed by today. She'll probably end up shedding tomorrow or the next day. But she's darker because she's 2 years older. And like I said, they get darker. But now don't assume just because you're buying a Sumatran, they're all going to get darker. The lineage matters. So these are line bred animals. So it's not a morph, but it's just quality breeding and selecting quality examples and working further and further to get darker and darker. So if you look at a lot of Sumatrans, you'll see a lot of brown, especially at this age. But you'll see this animal has almost none of that. There's a little bit you can kind of see, you know, in different places on the pattern. Not really cooperating with the camera here. And also, just so people know while we're doing it, you can see she has a pretty defined spine. That's actually normal in this species, and you should be able to see it. It's okay if there's a few spots where you don't. The way I'm holding her also is protruding it more now. Let me see if I can hold her a little more level. So you can still see there's a lot of spine definition there. I still can't get the hang of the camera. For somebody that does YouTube videos, you'd think I'd have figured it out by now. That's a little different on this for some reason. But anyhow, the spine ridge is normal. And when you don't see that at all, you're keeping them too obese. And at that point, they're really obese because snakes keep their fat underneath their rib cage. So for you to actually see them be fat means that they're so fat, it's expanding that out, or it's getting outside of that and storing elsewhere. And the thing is, if you ever look at a snake that died from fatty liver disease, and you can go research that online and look at pictures and things of necropsies that are getting done, you can see that the fat literally takes over everywhere in their body, and the organs don't have any space to move. And the thing with snakes, when they eat, their organs actually, there was a study done with Burmese pythons, and their organs actually change the genetic code to get larger. So they'll go up to 100 times their normal size. And so, if it's normally this big, all of a sudden it's that big. So that organ needs that space to operate. And if it's all fat in there, it can't operate properly. And you just get a recipe for disaster. So it's really, really important with snakes to keep them lean and trim. Healthy weight, you don't want to be too thin, but you want to keep them from being too fat. So definitely look at that if that's something you're not familiar with, because if you talk to people that do necropsies on snakes, that's probably one of the biggest killers of snakes. And a lot of times we have that snake that just dies and you're not sure why. Yeah. A lot of times it's something to do with that, especially if it's 7, 8 years old and it's nowhere near its 20, 30, 40, 50-year lifespan, depending on the species. So definitely keep that in mind. But short tails, it's so funny because you'll run the full gamut. You'll see some where people are like, oh my God, it's so fat and chonk, and every single short tail keeper hates the word chonk, so please stop using that.
Chonk?
Yeah, oh my God. If I could reach through my screen and punch people in the face, I would. It's like, no, it's not fat. They're heavy-bodied snakes. If you look at their skeleton, it's totally different. And actually, if you get a chance to look at their skeleton, check that out too, because their spine is really raised up. It's pretty wild to see. So that's why you get that definition there, because it's so much higher. I'm not sure what the evolutionary advantage of that is. The heavy-bodiedness makes sense to me because you're not going to go up to bask. So if you need to absorb heat, the wider surface area you have, the more you're going to absorb. You don't have to expose yourself as long, since they like to not do that. So that makes sense to me for their environment. But the spine ridge, I have no idea why that would be. But definitely, but check that out because it's really cool. And Sumatrans probably have the best temperament of any snake that I've ever worked with of any species. It surprises me when people tell me they have one that bites them, because I can do anything with these snakes. They don't care. I can stick a snake in my face. It doesn't matter. And I'm not suggesting you do that with your animals. Nothing phases this animal. They're not head shy. They're not tail shy, especially the ones that I've raised. But I've only been bitten by a Sumatran one time while handling, and I wasn't paying attention at all. So the snake probably gave me some warning signs. I was talking to somebody like this, whatever, not paying attention. The snake bit me. That's Midnight Rider, my male, or one of my males. And he was a baby then, little itty bitty thing. And then one time I was reaching in a bin over my head, trying to find the water dish, and I hit the baby, and it bit me because, here's a random hand coming in your face, and it couldn't see me because I was below the tub. So it definitely freaked it out. And that was just me being stupid. Yeah. But yeah, I take these to programs in classrooms, churches. People come over and they want to hold a snake. These are the best. They just don't care about anything. They're so laid back. You can handle them 3-4 times a week. It doesn't stress them out. It doesn't put them off of food at all. These snakes right here, this is the strongest feeding response of anything I've ever kept. I know the false water cobras have a pretty wild feeding response. But these guys, I don't even open their cages without a hook when food's in the room, because they just are ballistic. The other short tail species love food, but not like these guys do. Yeah. If your Sumatran's not eating, something's wrong.
For real. Right? Yeah, 100%. Because my male is I named him Jack Nicholson because I ran him hot in the beginning, and he was fucking just a ballistic, pissed off fucking little snake. And then I just was used to him being that way for almost a year. And then until I switched his tub in a lower temperature, and yep. he just turned the switch. But I'm I have fucking PSD or what is it, PTSD or something from from that. So he's big and dude, he is a fucking sweetheart, like you said. I can do whatever the fuck I want with him now. But my heart still races when I do it, because I'm what if? What if he's you
know what he's capable of if he's motivated.
And they're so fast too, bro. They strike so quick. You can't even blink an eye and you're tagged already. And it's
people think because they're heavy bodied that means they're not very athletic, but these snakes will levitate and they will throw their body, and they have a strike range that's bigger comparatively speaking, than a Burmese python or a retic or anything like that. A lot of those snakes will strike about a third of their body length. These things will go beyond their body length. They will throw themselves at you, especially if you really piss them off. And they can also strike any direction. So, like, if you think, oh, I'm good back here, no, you're not. If they want to get you, they'll get you from any direction.
Savage. Well, that's sick, bro. That's one piece of project I've been following of yours, and I'm a huge fan of. So keep that up.
Oh yeah.
What's going on? How many clutches did you had? What a clutch this year, or how many black Sumatran clutches did you have?
Sumatrans, I just did one. I'm trying to get more holdback so I can produce more, because I rotate my girls. So I rarely do a girl back to back. The only way I'll do her back to back is like if she laid first thing in the season and she looks great come like October, then I'll think about pairing her that year. So I typically either do every other year, every third year with some girls. I have a couple girls that have been sitting around for like 3 years that I'm just like, I don't want to use them this year. I want to save them for this baby I'm raising up. So I'm really selective. So I'm not looking to pump out numbers. I'm looking to pump out quality. So I will, if I'm trying to line up a girl for a certain male, I'll just leave her be so that I know she's ready when that project's good. But like Lilith this year is one that I might go back to back with. She's the one that I'm trying to prove out that gray trait. She's the mother of that Borneo that I had out earlier. But those Borneos hatched really early, and she's already back up to weight now. And it's easy with short tails to get them back to weight because they slam food so hard. But I just don't like to baby factory my animals. They're pets first and foremost, and I want them to live 20, 30 plus years. So I don't want to push them as a baby factory. And like you said, you worry. I worry about all of my females, but there's certain ones like Lilith is very special to me. So every time I breed her, it's stressful for me because I'm worried something's going to happen and I'm going to lose her. I bought her as a baby in 2011. So I've had her for a long time, and she's just near and dear to me. And so, yeah, I've only paired her up twice, even though I've had her since 2011. So going back to back this year won't be a huge deal because, she's 9 years old. It'll only be her third clutch. But I think that's important too, is to, kind of consider what your females' bodies are going through. Males, it's not really a big deal to breed them every year because they're not going through the same rigors.
Right.
Unless you have a male that has a really rough season for some reason, you might rest him the next season. But sometimes you'll find males can be worse when you don't breed them. Especially those seasoned males that are used to breeding. If they don't breed, they can be really restless, really stress themselves out. So I'm not going to pair up a snake necessarily because he's like that, but I'm more in tune with it. So I might feed him a little bit heavier just to kind of keep him settled out. So that's another advantage of keeping him lean, is you have the ability where you get into a situation like that. I can feed him every 2 weeks now instead of every month for a couple of weeks and just settle him out of that breeding cycle. So there's all different things you can do.
Nice. Hell yeah. Sick.
Yeah. But yeah, I love these guys. I wish I could produce more of them because the demand on them is insane. If I could produce 5 clutches of them a year, I would sell 5 clutches a year.
Yeah.
But I'm not motivated to do it for the money or anything like that. So I like keeping, 1 or 2 clutches of those a year for right now is good for me. And 2 is the most I've ever done for Sumatrans in a season. I did Incognito and Sambuca 1 year, but usually I'll do every other. So now we'll grab a blood python here, and he's cooled down so he doesn't look all that fired up anymore. This is one that I produced a couple of years ago. He's a batik, a T-positive batik, so he's an albino, as well as the batik gene. So the batik gene gives you all that crazy pixelated pattern on the sides there, or a batik pattern. And then, T-positive's kind of hard to tell in bloods without having a normal example here. But he's a really nice one, and it's really funny because he actually looks really dull right now. When I pulled him out of his cage, he was a lot redder. But he's been sitting out here now for over an hour and a half, and my kitchen's much cooler than the room that he's in. So the cooler temperature, he's not as vibrant right now. But he's an animal that I actually produced here from a male that belonged to my friend Dylan Hain. And once again, if people watch my YouTube, they'll see I've done 4 videos so far on there with Dylan. I have 2 more coming soon. But the father was his batik het T positive, and then the mother was my big T positive female. And I have a bunch of T positive stuff. It's my favorite thing with blood pythons. I love T positive albino. Get out of my face, man. He's like super restless. I haven't handled him much lately either. But T positive is my favorite. So I have T positive ivories, T positive matrix. I have a T positive 007, which is golden eye and matrix together. A T positive batik. I have just T positive stuff. I have het T positive stuff, matrix het T positive. I only have 1 blood python in my collection that's not at least het T positive. Most are visual, and then a few are hets. But I have 1 big red female that's just normal. What was that?
Hell yeah! No, I'm just fucking geeking out over your snake. The reds are amazing. I had a really big red at some point. It was called, I think it was Cherry Bomb or something like that. Have you heard of that?
Cherry Bomb. Yep, that's a specific line of T positive albino.
Right.
And actually, his father is from a Cherry Bomb albino female, I think, that he was produced from. So this baby has some cherry lineage in here, but it's not a huge percentage. It's like 25% or something.
Right.
So I don't even refer to it as cherry, but it is in there. And
what do you know about
this? He loves to do the little wristband.
What do you know about the lilac? What do you know about the lilac?
So Lily, I don't work with. I would
It's
like
called
to
Lily.
get
It's
some.
called Lily or Lilac? What is it called? Lily?
I thought it was Lily, but
it's Lyly from what I've seen. Okay.
Yeah. But I believe it's called Lily, is my understanding. So I think it manipulates the pattern slightly and enhances the color. I'm not sure if it's like stripe line based or not. I'm one of those people, like the genes that I work with, I have a good handle on. The other stuff, like if I don't have it, I just kind of put the blinders on and go.
Right.
So I know a little bit about it because Matt Turner, who I got my T positive 007 from, I would have loved to have him in this video, but that snake hates me. And I don't know why. He was a friendly snake before I got him, but he just does not like me personally. So I can have him out in a video for about 30 seconds and he's like, all right, you're done. You're the worst person ever. But I got my male white lip as well, came from Matt Turner. And he works a lot with that gene. So at some point I'll purchase a snake from him with that to add it in, but I'll kind of do my due diligence at that time before I purchase and figure out how exactly I want to work it into the projects. But everything I've seen with it, it looks really good. So we'll see what happens. Why are you so moody? He's like, I just want to go back in my cage and I just want to eat everything. He's just about getting to breeding age and size. I don't think he's going to be ready this year. Blood pythons can mature kind of slow.
Okay.
It's much.
I was going to ask you the age. Like, when is like preferably a good time to start pairing them up? Or
males can breed at 2. I've never had one breed that early. They've always bred for me at like 3 to 4 years old for the males. And females, I don't even ever think about pairing until they're 3.5, 4 at least. Some of them I'll wait 6 years if I feel like I want to line something up or they're just not big enough. Maturity is the kind of overlooked when it comes to breeding. Everybody focuses on weight. Everybody focuses on age. But maturity is really what matters. And maturity is not something you can determine with either of those things. It's just kind of when the female's body's ready to produce eggs healthily. And so you'll see a lot more issues if you breed a female early on and it's too soon. That's where you get more egg-bound issues. That's where you get more slug outs and all those things. And to me, like the last thing I want to do is a slug out, not because, a year's work goes out the door, which definitely sucks, but I would feel so guilty of putting my female through all that work and her whole reason for doing it is to keep the species going, and now she's throwing slugs. Like, even though it's the same amount of work for her to throw slugs as good eggs, I just feel like at least when it's good eggs, she's doing her mission in life. You know, she's not wasting all that energy and strength. So I just always looked at it that way. Starting to calm down a little bit now.
Yeah, that thing's fire, bro. That thing is really, really nice.
Like I said, he looks like shit right now. He's usually super red, and he's not looking red at all. Like, I know he looks red, but you don't understand. Like, usually he's ridiculous red. So I don't know why he's just not. Like I said, it's cooler out here, so he might just be fired down. But yeah, I'm hoping the T-positive 007 is going to go this year. He's a 2018 too, so he's also 2 years old, same as this guy. So I'm hoping the T-positive 007 is going to go. I'm going to try to put him to my T-positive matrix. So that'll give me the opportunity to produce T-positives, T-positive matrix, T-positive ivory, T-positive golden eyes, and T-positive 007s. And, then you can make T-positive golden ivories as well. So it gives you a lot of possibilities there. And I have a female that's ready to go. She's primed. I didn't pair her up last year, just knowing that I was getting this animal. So I'm hoping that that's going to work out. And but we'll see. If he doesn't go to her, then I might try to put this male in there and see what happens. Because he gives me some options too. I can make T-positive batiks. I can make T-positive matrix, T-positives, and then T-positive matrix, which is where both genes are together. And they're pretty similar looking. Matrix looks a lot like this, except for that pixelatedness on the side gets even more busy and more concentrated.
Right.
So I definitely am looking forward to doing that at some point. But it's tough because I only have Batik and Goldeneye in males. So it'll be a while before I can put those two genes together, unless I go out and spend money.
Right. You're like, you do everything you can to avoid having to do that, but yet still making fucking epic ass shit.
Well, for my T-positive ivories, I refused to buy one. I had to make it myself. And that female humbled me for years before she finally gave me a clutch.
Damn.
3 years I paired her up, and finally the third year I told her that she was gonna be homeless. I was gonna evict her. And she gave me a clutch, so I have a pair of T-positive ivories that I held back.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about those two.
Why did you refuse to buy one?
It was just like a personal thing. I had to make my own.
I hear you.
You know, nothing else other than that. Like I had T-positive matrix, which is what you need to make them. And I was like, damn it, I'm putting my foot down. I'm going to make this damn thing myself. And so, of course, when I got the project, I bought my T-positive matrix animals, raised them, everything. Had she produced that first season, those things were thousands of dollars. By the time I finally produced them, they were worth about $1,000. So it was just the way it goes. But I didn't sell either one of them, so it doesn't matter. But it was just one of those things where I was like, come on, you know?
Yeah,
but,
I hear you. I keep telling myself that with buying baby chondros, because at this point I'm like, well, just fucking make your own at this point. But I fucking still fucking buy some. I'm an idiot.
There's certain things like that Lily stuff, like we were talking about. I want that, and I can't make that from what I have, so I have to buy an animal at some point to do that, which I'm okay with. But stuff that I already have here, unless I come across something that's like I have to have it and can't miss, then it'll be different. Like, you know, maybe Matt will have a T-positive Lily, you know, Goldeneye female or something. And I'm like, okay. So at least got to be one that doesn't want to go back into the holding bin.
Yeah, no. I think
joys of working with animals live.
That's why I always respect show and tell, because anything can happen when you're busting out fucking, you know, live animals, basically. Brett Bender, when we had him on here, he brought some rough scales on the fucking show. And he brought super fire.
God damn it. I'm about to fucking power bomb him in here. Jesus, he will not go.
Oh, while trying to put a snake back, shout out to everyone who's been tuning in. This has been a sick ass night, man. I'm learning a lot more about short tails than I ever knew. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about, to be honest. And he got him all right.
Yeah. He doesn't want to bite or anything. He just doesn't want to go back in. And then once he's in, he doesn't want to come out. He's one of those snakes. Wherever he is, he just wants to stay there.
Moving quick. All right, what do we got next, Dan?
I got one more left.
All right.
And she's an adult.
All right.
And she's actually the mother of that animal that I just had out.
All right.
So she is a T-positive albino.
This is a big one, right?
Huh?
This is a big one, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
All right.
She's my largest blood python.
All right. Here you go.
So she's 6'8". She's about 30 pounds.
6 foot 8? She's almost 7 feet. Oh my Lanta.
She's a big girl. She's super sweet. But she was produced by Kara. She's a I don't know how old she is. I think she's like a 2012 animal. Okay. I didn't buy her direct from Kara. I bought her actually third hand. Somebody bought her from Kara, had her. My friend Jason Chapman had her for a while. And
so how big was she when you got her?
She was an adult when I got her. So she was close to this size. I say 6'8", but I haven't measured her in like 2 years. And obviously snakes never stop growing. So she's probably bigger, but they grow so slow once they're adults. It's probably maybe an inch or something.
So she could be close to 7 feet at this point.
She could be. I don't think she's growing that rapidly, but like I said, I'm not sure. But she definitely will give you an idea on size. And so most short tails, they're very lethargic animals, so they're not active. They're ambush predators, and
they wait.
They're ambush predators that naturally will sit for weeks in the same place and not move.
Yeah.
So they don't need huge cages, but they do appreciate space and they will utilize it. They just don't utilize it like a white lip or an olive might, when they're active and moving around. But you'll see them in all different parts of the cage over the course of time. Right. So most of them, as adults, 4x2 caging is sufficient. An animal like this is a little bit larger, so she would need a larger cage. I mean, she could live in a 4x2, but it's not ideal. And now she hasn't shed in a long time, so she's a little dull right now. But you'll be able to get an idea here.
Damn.
Of her.
So
this is what I would call an ideal weight for a blood python. It's a little bit harder to see their spine definition just because of the color breakups and things, but she still has good spine definition. But she's thick enough. Like I said, she's about 30 pounds, which doesn't seem like much. 30 pounds isn't a lot. When you have to hold it and manipulate it like this, it gets like, there you go, a little Jaws reference. And I'm very fortunate that she's a nice animal, because if she wanted to fuck my day up, it would not be fun. These animals are super strong. So I can't really like get far enough back for you to kind of get her all in the shot there. But they can get good size. I've never seen a short tail, Sumatran short tail this big. Tim Mead used to have some humongous Borneos. Hi, what are you doing? Look like you're going into shed now. He used to have some humongous Borneos that were like this size. But it's not common. But she's, like I said, she's super great. And she's the mother of that T-positive batik. Oh, got her all in one hand. But I've used her for a couple of videos. Actually, my most popular video on YouTube is with her. So I need to get her on the channel again because, you know, I just started my channel just about a year ago. And my videos will get like maybe 200 views, 400 views. The video with her is at like 12,000 and something. And if you search blood pythons on YouTube, it's one of like the top 3 videos that pops up, which is really cool. So that's why it gets so much attention, because for once the algorithm actually helped me and didn't hurt me.
There you go. For once, somebody
you know how that goes.
Yeah, it's terrible.
They just bury you and you just can't get out. Yep. But yeah, so she hasn't been bred since that year. So that I told you earlier that she gave me that big clutch. So she's lean, but she's a big girl. So her first clutch ever, when I bred her, usually these guys give you like 10 to 15 eggs. Blood pythons lay bigger eggs and less of them than short tails. whereas short tails will lay smaller eggs and bigger quantities. But she gave me 24 eggs that first clutch.
Yeah.
And they were all beautiful, perfect eggs, no slugs, no nothing. You don't have to keep them fat. So many people think like, oh, I'm going to keep them fat, I'm going to get more eggs.
No.
It just doesn't. You don't need to. She's giving me a workout. But yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, that thing's fire, bro. The color, I mean, I'm sure it's different in person, like you were talking about earlier, but
she looks dull right now, and her eyes look dull. I think she's starting to go into shed because it's been probably 2 or 3 months since she shed. So she's due.
The snake looks drawn. It looks like somebody straight drew that shit.
So Ron Burgundy, my
Burgundy
positive male that I produced, I took some pictures for Halloween one year, and he fits his name. Like, you put the camera out and he just poses, and he'll let you take 100 pictures of him. He won't move. He just hits that perfect position. Like, he's Ron Burgundy. Like, it works. And she's trying to climb. Yeah, she's dull underneath everything. But I posted a video of him. So I'm like walking around and he's not moving like he does, just sitting on this pumpkin. And I had several people argue with me that he was fake. And I'm like, he's not fake. And they're like, yeah, that's a fake snake. You're not pulling my leg and this and that. I'm like, I hatched him out myself. I like literally posted a picture of him as a baby. I'm like, look, the pattern is exactly the same. Like, he's not fake. And they still argued with me. And I was like, okay, whatever, dude. You want to think he's fake? That's cool. But he's very real.
You know, like a dog, like you could fucking give it a command and it would like start snap, like it'll snap its fucking shit and it'll start barking. I wish you could do that with snakes. I wish you could be like, dude, just fucking snap at this guy right now.
Yeah. But yeah, it definitely made me laugh. I'm like, it's a video. Like, how could I'd have to be a pretty good artist. And I can't even draw a damn stick figure. Right. Yeah, I have Ron Burgundy. I have a Charlie Murphy too. One of my Borneos is Charlie Murphy.
Classic names.
Yeah. It just fit, and he was the darkest Borneo I ever produced, so he was darkness. Charlie Murphy it was. He doesn't fit his personality quite as much, but yeah, you can see she's a big girl.
I think it's fire.
I'm gonna actually put her down because she's killing me right now.
No, man, that right there, I think was my favorite snake you showed, hands down.
Yeah,
I mean, black amazing, black, but
it's a pain in the ass with the adults sometimes because I have a lot of them in Christmas tree bins, and I have to pull the bins down and pull them out and do all this stuff. So everybody always wants like room tours on YouTube, and I'm like, dude, it would take me like 3 hours because you would just be waiting for me to pull cages down off of shelves and do this. And my room's so like the room itself is not small, but I have so much in my snake rooms because I have 2 snake rooms and then I have snakes in the living room as well. But the space is like so tight in there where I barely have enough room to work. So it's hard to get in there and film, and my lighting's terrible. You know, I walked in there the other day with you and we were testing this stuff out. Like the lighting's not good. So it's tough. I know everybody wants that, but that's not to mention I do those meet the collection segments. And that's the whole point of that is like, instead of just going through real quick and seeing 75 snakes or 100 snakes or whatever it is, here's a chance to like, spend 10 minutes and get to know this animal's personality, where it came from, you know, any quirks of that animal. Because I felt like I would appreciate that as a person. So I try to make content that I would watch. And I wanted to do something different. I know a couple people now and friends of mine have copied it and started doing it. And I'm sure somebody before me did it, but it's not like I saw somebody do it and stole their idea. I just thought it was something cool to do.
Yeah. That's good though, man. You're setting a trend. That's all that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. And I was like I said earlier in the show before we got started, I appreciate how I could tell what you're creating is yours. And I respect that the most, you know what I mean? And it's a grind too, especially when you're not paying for collaborations and all the other shit what people are doing to get a name for themselves, which, you know, obviously not hating on that, but like, you know, I'm not rich, you know, I can't fucking, you know.
I didn't even know that was a thing. So what, people will like pay somebody to put them on their channel kind of thing?
Oh, hell yeah. That's fucking a lot. You know, it's basically when you're at a level of like, you know, a following and you need a boost or whatever, you collab with people who are fucking basically killing it. Yeah. And a lot of time there's a fee involved in that. You know, you got to pay these motherfuckers some
I
loot.
didn't know that. I would tell them to fucking suck my D right there. Like, there's no question about it.
You can say dick. It's all good.
Yeah.
This is
Well, I noticed like one of my live videos, YouTube was like, no, this one can't be monetized because of profanity. I was like, what?
no, I mean they always ask like, hey, is this really bad violent language? And I always put no, it's low. It's just low profanity because we're just fucking talking like adults. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and the other thing is that's aggravating is if you make it more family friendly, you open yourself up to lawsuits or whatever the hell.
So I put not for kids. Fucking, you know, I clearly put that I cuss in this shit, and that's being.
So yeah, if I sit here and I church it up and I don't swear on my channel and all that, then they can come after me and say I'm targeting kids. It's like, what the hell, man?
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, man. YouTube could just pull. Here's the thing: when you use YouTube as, you know, any source of anything, like if you use it because it helps your business or whatever the fuck, you know, whatever it is, it could change and disappear at any moment. They're fucking so. I mean, dude, I don't know. They pull things out of their ass at any moment and change rules, regulations, and shit. And it just
the thing that kills me the most is it's like right now, this is very unnatural in my house. I never don't have music on.
Right.
And you can't have music on in the background because then they try to act like you're using the music to make money. It's like, no, I just have music on in my house all the time. Like
I have, well, if it's licensed music, right, you do. So I had to make my own fucking intro music where they didn't flag it. They just leave it alone. But every time I do play a song, other than that, because I used to play a song after the intro, just waited for people to join, and I had to fucking and a lot of these songs were like not even like they're not even licensed. YouTube's just pulling shit out of their ass saying, "Oh, this is licensed," and they're not even telling me who it's licensed to, and I have to dispute it, and I win the dispute, but you have to dispute it, and it's but like, dude, yeah, they do their and once you get in their radar, bro, oh my god, they watch they pretty much every video after that. They fucking try coming at you for some shit, and it's like, oh god, here we go.
Listen, I know for Facebook, because for a while there, I was going to Facebook jail like every day. It was like ridiculous. And now I just went in recently for something I posted like last year in like 2019. And like hit me for. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Fuck, dude.
Like, is there a statute of limitations on Facebook? Like, leave me alone.
I hate Facebook, man. I've only been on like they locked. I guess they call it Facebook jail. I think I was on Facebook jail for like 24 hours because of a fucking comment.
Yeah.
But I'm like my homie Joe Spitowski, that motherfucker's been on 30-day fucking jail shit. Like it's like how do you get to that level where you're like, damn?
I've been on several 30-day stints, but once you get on their radar, it's the same thing. So all of a sudden, it's like everything you do, they're on you about. And it all started like I posted a meme they didn't like. They just gave me a warning. Then like the day later, they put me in 24 hours. Then you do 3 days, and you do 7 days, and you get the 30 days.
You know, dude, it's crazy because like you could just do. I mean, like there's certain Instagram accounts, like there's people who have like 100, 200,000 followers, and their shit would just get deactivated like that.
Yep.
And if you look into it, like they probably did something to either piss off whoever was looking, or like, you know what I mean? Like it's. Like they don't need to give you much of an explanation on why they fucking are turning off your shit. They'll just turn off.
And then right now you have stuff where, just like as an example, you know, I don't want to get into politics or anything, but like say you're a Trump supporter and you say that, a bunch of people will just report your page because they don't like him. And then even though there's nothing there, there's just so many reports that they'll go after your shit. So stuff like that happens too. And that was just an example of politics, but it could just be something people just don't like you, whatever. It's crazy how much just reporting your shit goes because they don't pay attention to those reports. It just comes in, they get enough of them, they're like, oh, something must be wrong. They put my Instagram on a ban one time. I guess they call them a shadow ban, if you've ever heard of that, where basically what happens is all of your followers can see your content, but no new people can. And they don't tell you that you're on that. So what'll happen is like you're using hashtags and your post doesn't show up in that hashtag to anybody unless they're already your follower. So it basically turns your account into a private account essentially without you even knowing that it happens.
Hey, well, check this out. Fuck hashtags. That's what I got to say. I think hashtags are fucking full of shit. I used to fucking spend so much time and energy into hashtags, and I'm like, this is fucking stupid. So the only thing I hashtag now is my business name, CUSSING Cartel. Every time. And guess what? I'm getting the exact same likes and like more likes as I was with all those fucking hashtags. Fuck hashtags.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the beginning, building up your page is important because that's how people find your posts. But once you have a following, then it's not as important anymore.
That's probably what it is, because I'm like, go fuck yourself with these hashtags and like, you know,
Yeah.
like what? And then I don't know. Then there's all these like, there was like these cheat codes to Instagram at some point, like, oh, you can't use more than 5 hashtags, or you can't edit anything within 24 hours of the post, or like you get knocked out of the algorithm and stuff. And it's like, I was like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. You knocked me out of the algorithm. I don't care. I'm just posting. I don't care. I just don't care no more. Like I don't give a. You know, I appreciate all my followers, respect, love you guys,
Right.
but like, it's not something I fucking look at like, you know, every fucking morning and shit. It's not like I just post, man. I just want to. I try to worry about taking something new for that day so I can get ready to post it, and I just love, man. I just love taking pictures of my work. It's like taking pictures of your art. You know what I mean? It's awesome.
See, my problem is like, I always feel like it's an injustice to my animals to like take pictures in poor lighting. So like the wintertime, I don't have a lot of content because I like taking outside pictures. I love natural light.
Those are the best.
You know, I like it's so funny too because my friend Rob, I was up at Nerd talking to him and he's like, your pictures are shit. And I was a little hurt. I was like, oh man. I was like, fuck you, use a light box.
He came at you like that.
I don't like a light box. That's cheating to me. Like even though you're showing the animal ultimately how it looks, you're like manipulating the photo. Whereas natural light is natural light, and here's what you get. And my take has always been, you know, especially for animals that I'm putting up for sale.
Yeah.
I would rather have a customer buy an animal and be pleasantly surprised when they get it than have them chase a picture and never feel like they can get a picture as good as that animal. Like I want them to be proud to show that animal off because that's the best advertisement our business is ever going to have is happy customers sharing their animals. You know, I could sit here and pound the pavement. You can advertise, you can do merchandise, you can do all this. The best thing to get sales is somebody posting a picture of your animal that looks good. Like that just does it all. And you touched on that earlier, and I didn't really get a chance just in the course of conversation there, but you were talking about those people that like have like the 2 slug out years, but they have all this merchandise and stuff. Like, I don't know about that. I really feel like if you're going to be a business, you got to have a product before.
Dude. Oh my God.
Oh
my God, bro. You don't understand. Like, and that's like, no, and that's primarily what I see in ball pythons. You know what I mean? Like ball python groups, you see guys who are like, fucking follow for follow, sticker swap, do anything they got to do to get a fucking following, right?
That's why Matt calls me Mad Dan or Grumpy Dan, is because he sent me a message asking me about stickers one day.
Oh, dude! I was like, nah, dog. Sorry. I was like, nah.
I was like, I don't understand what the fuck adult obsession is with stickers and blah blah blah. I just like went into him, and he was like, and he didn't even know me, so he's like, what the fuck? Like you said earlier, like I'm just who I am, so I'm gonna tell you what I'm thinking.
Oh, dude,
you might not like it, you know.
I tell people, I mean, a lot of people like, you know, are just like cool, like, all right, no problem, you know. I just tell them, like, I don't fucking, dude, I'm not swapping shit. Like, I don't like, you know, if you get a sticker, you get a sticker, and that's cool. And honestly, I'm not into sticker collecting. I don't have a ceiling full of stickers.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I understand it's a part of building a following, and to each their own. Good for you, but I'm just saying, maybe put more energy into your reptiles. Put more energy into like your foundation.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but the thing is, I can't argue with the fact that the hype train works, because I've watched people that never even produce an animal that have a huge following because people think, because they put themselves out there and make you think that there's somebody. They got a web page. I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, well, do you sell on Morph Market? Which I have a Morph Market, but I almost never use it. And I saw something the other day where somebody's like, oh, well, you're not a real breeder if you don't sell on Morph Market. It's like, well, I don't need to sell on Morph Market. My animals all sit.
I've been sold one snake this year off Morph Market. Morph Market's sick, but you don't fucking, if you really got shit dialed in with your following and what you're doing, you don't need Morph Market.
No. Morph Market's where I try to put an animal or two up there every year just so that like people see my name in case I ever start selling on there more. So it's not like, who the hell is this all of a sudden? But anyhow, so Matt got on me about the sticker thing or whatever. And I was like, fine, you know what? I'm going to get some stickers made. So I asked him some questions, whatever. And he's like, yeah, just put your business name on there. I was like, well, I'm not a business. I'm a hobby. So I made stickers. I just put my fucking name on them with a snake.
Did you send him like 20 or like here?
He has some, but I put some in the box when I shipped him his snakes, and so I printed a bunch of them, and I just stick them in when I sell somebody snakes so they can have them. Or I sold a few of them in the beginning too, because I told people, I'm like, I asked people, like, if I make these, are you gonna buy them? Because I'm like, I gotta spend money on this shit, like fuck.
Yeah.
So I sold a bunch.
Yeah, stickers go quick when they're not really that cheap. I mean, I think I get them for like $1 each or something like that. But that's I'm not getting them to sell them, but like it's
Right.
just more stuff that it is about promoting your name. That's why I do understand why people do it, because it's like it's being shared on a story and blah blah blah. And then you have like big breeders who put it on their walls, and like I get it. That's motivation. That's cool.
There's a bunch of these at the doors up at Nerd. I accidentally left some on Kevin's desk when I was up there. I don't know who stuck them up, but they're all over the place. It makes me laugh every time I'm like, Kevin must hate that.
That's so funny. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. What I was gonna say something, but I fucking totally forgot. Oh, well, let's talk about Nerd. So you went to Nerd. Do you go to Nerd often, or like what's your relationship with?
It's only like 2.5 hours from my house max, so I'll go up there quite a bit. And I've been friends with Rob for a while. I've been friends with Jeremy for a while, Gianni. I know Kevin. I'm friendly with Kevin, but I wouldn't say Kevin is my friend. He's not fucking texting me to hang out. But I talk to him every time I'm up there and whatnot, and he'll come up to me at a show and say hello and all that kind of stuff. But
Mr. Crowley,
yeah, I'm
obsessed with this snake right here. Like
Rob made fun of me in that picture because he's like, "Why don't you hold it like you're not afraid of it?" And I have like a severe reaction to venom in other animals, so even though it's rear fanged, it does make me a little bit more nervous, just because
that thing's tagged Kevin on his YouTube. Like,
I saw it. And the funny thing is, Rob's like, "Oh, he's totally chill." And I saw that video. I'm like, "Fuck you, dude."
Yeah, he wasn't a fan of the camera equipment, I don't think, but
he was fine when I held him, and I've held him. I've been up there a few times with him or whatever. But like I said, I do like bees put me in the hospital, and I have to get treatment. Like I'm bad.
Oh,
so
shit.
I don't know how snake venom would interact with me, but I don't want to take a chance if I don't have to. So I'm always cautious with even rear fang stuff. Even a hognose snake, like I'll hold carefully to try to prevent myself from getting bit.
I actually got I didn't get chewed on, but I was damn near well out as well. But I got one of my false water cobras fucking came up and saw my thumb, literally swallowed my thumb, and fucking on its way out, it like. I don't know if its teeth got stuck, but it shredded my thumb, basically. It was fucking I posted a video. There's blood all over the place. It was pretty terrible. But
their venom's not particularly bad, is it? I don't even know.
I don't know. I don't think I really got venom in me. I mean, I had a really sore thumb, and I think it's mostly from the bite. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it's sometimes it goes, sometimes it doesn't, and I don't know. I mean, I've been bit by a mangrove, but it's more of a fucking tag. It wasn't like I didn't get chomped on. I don't want to get chomped on, so.
That's I can't keep venomous legally in Connecticut, so I don't have anything venomous. But I did have that monocle years ago when I was young and dumb, and I was probably in over my head when I had that snake, to be perfectly honest. Fortunately, she was really laid back, but I had probably kept snakes at that point for like 2 years. I don't really think that prepares you for that. But I think everybody makes young, dumb mistakes. But that could have been a mistake that's real bad. Monocle cobra venom is no joke. That's a nasty venom.
Sure is.
That's a snake that can drop you in an hour if you get a big enough dose. Like you don't want to. Yeah. But she was really calm for the most part. She'd have her days, and if she was in a mood, I would just leave her be. But I have pictures handling her. Where I've got her tailed on the hook and she's not even hooded. She looks like a king snake, So she was really calm and really great. But I smartened up and got rid of her fairly quickly. I only had her for probably about a year or so, and I was just like, you know what? I'm living in a state where I can't have it. If I get bit by her, where am I going to go get antivenom? I don't have antivenom. The hospital here don't carry it because they're not legal here.
Had to be airlifted somewhere. It's just gonna be a fuck. I hope you have really amazing insurance. Oh, that would suck. That would just be huge fucking unfortunate event, which
And
you don't.
that's if you can get there in time. You're gonna have to call ahead and coordinate, and they're gonna have to either air you to the antivenom or airlift the antivenom to you. You know, and I would think that like Pennsylvania or maybe New York City might have it because of the zoo. I don't know what the Bronx Zoo keeps for snakes, but if they keep anything like that, they might have something there. But that would be about the closest it's going to be. So yeah, I just smartened up.
At least you did, bro. I'm glad you had that mentality. I sure did. I was in love with my speckled, bro. This thing came to me in a Coca-Cola fucking bottle, almost like no head, and I was like, dude, what? How do you know? Whatever the fuck. And I brought it in, and like I raised it, and it was like the nicest thing ever. And I knew what, like you said, I knew when it was in a bad mood or whatever, like not trying to be fucked with, and gave it its piece. But like for it was the most curious, fucking amazing thing ever. And obviously holding a rattlesnake, the scales, it's different from any other snake you'll ever hold. It's just a different species of fucking God's great creation. But my wife, the fact that my wife kept catching me holding it and coming to me, she had nightmares. It just started sinking in my head, like, well, okay, what if I get fucking tagged by this? Then what? And then I'm like, yeah, it's just going to be a mess. So,
and that's the thing. All of us that have kept non-venomous snakes have gotten a bite at some point from a snake that we had for 10 years.
Yeah, I thought about that. Like it's like a ticking time bomb. It's like fuck, and like I mean, like I said, and it's also knowing people who've been bit, and I know people who've been bit by fucking bushmasters and fucking crazy shit. And I'm just like, you know what, man? I really don't need to have a hot to enjoy what I'm doing. I love everything that I have already. So why even dabble into this? Why even make it harder? And why give,
If I move, but my goal is to move somewhere with better laws anyways, because I have species that I can't keep here that I want to work with more.
Yeah.
So I do want to move eventually. And if I move to a state where I can have venomous, I probably will have some copperheads without a doubt. I love copperheads. It's one of my favorite species of snake. I do not see a scenario where if I could have one legally that I would not. They're also fairly easy to work with. It's not something that's super, super toxic or anything like that. So I would be comfortable with those. And then I would probably end up eventually with a timber rattlesnake just because I love those too. And they're laid back animals and they're beautiful animals. So I would probably have one of those down the line. But I don't think I would go crazy with venomous. I love Gaboon vipers. I love rhinos. I love cobras. Like I love a lot of venomous snakes, but I don't think that my passion for them is enough to keep a large amount of them with the amount of risk that's involved. Because it's hard to have animals and hard to have them for a long period of time and not be stupid at some point or just slip up and make a mistake. So for now, I just like traveling to other people's venomous collection and playing with theirs.
Yeah, I definitely admire just people who keep it in general. And I don't know. Like I said, I'm just blessed to even have what I have now. I never even thought I would even get to this point. So I'm just, I'm staying in my lane. That's such a fucking legit saying as long as it's been around. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane is fucking superficial. Just stay in your lane. Stop doing other shit. Yeah, man. Dan, this has been an amazing couple hours, bro. You're the shit. I'm telling you, I've learned a lot. Everyone else has learned a lot. This has been a real treat, and I appreciate everything. I do have some hot seat questions for you, however, to wrap shit up. If you're ready for those.
All right.
How do you feel? You want a second?
I got my Jack Daniels, so I'm ready to go.
All right, here we go. Coming in hot with the hot seat questions. Frozen thought or live?
Almost every animal I own is on frozen thought or pre-killed. I don't feed any live at all.
Okay. Are you against live, or that's just the way you've been?
I'm not necessarily against it, but I think if your animals will take pre-killed or frozen thawed, why not eliminate the risk? Obviously, and I think any snake can be converted at least to pre-killed with effort. Because the thing is, most species that we keep are eating their prey dead. They're killing it and then eating it. So that for them to eat something dead is natural. It's just learning the individual animal's trigger, because some animals it's movement, some it's smell, some it's texture. some it's, whatever it is. So if you learn that animal's individual trigger, what lets it know that it's eating and what lets it know that it's a food source, you'll get them to take it every time.
Respect. A cutter or no?
I don't cut at all.
Big flexor or no flexor?
What does that even mean?
Are you flex or you don't flex? It's as simple as that.
Like physically, no.
Whatever. Just I mean,
showing off. I don't think so. Not really. Like joking around, I will, but not seriously. I'm so egotistical. Like I'm almost not even confident. So I'm not
a big flexor. Just kidding.
Yeah, that's me.
Baseball or football?
Ooh, well, I have the Dolphins tattoo there, but I would say I'm probably a bigger baseball fan right now. In the past, it's been football, but football's gotten a lot softer, and I think I enjoy baseball more, especially because I can put on a baseball game and get some work done and still listen and watch. Football, I have to focus more, so it takes more of my time.
I hear you on that. Facts. Steak or fish? Surf
and turf, man. Come on.
Yeah, you just got to pick one, though. Your fish.
You got to live mass. I'm gonna go with fish because I didn't eat steak until late in life. I didn't like steak growing up. I love it now, but
I feel like if I had to eat it forever, I would say fish too. For us.
Well, you get more variety. Steak, you got steak. Fish, I got 60 species. Go crazy.
True. Van Halen or Sammy Hagar?
Oh, Van Halen. Come on. Has anybody ever said Sammy Hagar?
Yes, I think it was Warren Booth. I'm not even joking.
Really?
I hope I'm not wrong, but somebody said Sammy Hagar, and my eyebrows raised up heavily.
I don't mind Sammy Hagar, but I mean Diamond Dave. Come on.
Yeah, Wu-Tang or NWA?
I am a enormous Dre fan, so I'll probably lean NWA and that whole era of people. The Ice Cube, all that stuff I'll listen to more. I like Wu-Tang, but I'm not a huge Wu-Tang guy.
What's your favorite color?
Yes, black. All my shirts are black except for this one.
What's your favorite thing to cook on the weekends?
Not cooking. Takeout's my favorite thing, but if I'm going to cook, I probably enjoy cooking steak.
Okay. All right, cool. A little word association. First thing to come to mind. Milk.
Cookies.
Cocoa.
Brown.
Stuck shed.
Humidity.
AstroTurf.
Baseball.
Tailsuck.
What was it?
Tailsuck.
Oh, eggs are coming, baby.
Instagrams.
What was that?
Instagram troll.
Instagram troll? I don't really have anybody troll me on Instagram. I don't know.
But they're out there. So in general, what do you think of them?
It was whack, man.
Whack, cool. One has to go. Instagram or Facebook?
I would like to say Facebook because Facebook's such a shit show. But I think I enjoy watching people melt down on there. So I would have to say I'd probably lose Instagram.
If you don't partake and you just go and you're in the stands, oh boy, it's like
one of my favorite things to do on my Facebook is to post something like super controversial and then just walk away from my phone for hours and let people fight on it. And I'll come back on my lunch break and there's like hours of great reading entertainment of people fighting and I'm not even involved.
Oh my God, bro. It's like starting a forest fire and you're just
it's so easy.
Oh, it's so easy, bro. It's so easy. Fuck yeah, Dan. Well, bro, this has been amazing. Like I said, everyone's been tuned in, man. We've had everyone who's been fucking interested with shit, and a lot of people want to dip into the short tail game and the blood game. But more importantly, if you could give any advice, hold on. I got one more question. I totally out because I want to know this too. Who's one of your biggest mentors right now? Like who's somebody that you really look up to and really, really driving you and helping you with what you're doing?
Oh, without a doubt, Kara Norris, the one that I sold those snakes back to. Without her, I definitely wouldn't be where I am now. And not only just in the hobby in general, but like she's a person who's like a sister, a mother, and a best friend all in one. Like she when I have like relationship problems, I talk to her about it, and she'll be like, "Listen, you're being a fucking idiot. Like, get your shit together."
Slaps you
Or
out of it.
what's that?
She slaps you out of it. She fucking, she's
Yeah, and that's what I need. I hate, like, if I come to you for advice, don't sugarcoat shit for me. Like, you're not doing me any favors. I want to hear like you're being a ridiculous piece of shit if that's what I'm being, or I want to hear no, you're right when I'm right.
Yeah,
But
that helps me.
But I hate that where people, you come to them for advice, and they're just like, "Oh, well, you're doing wonderful." It's like, well, no, I'm not. Like, come on, don't tell me I'm not fat. I know I'm fat. Like, come on, don't lie to me.
Tell me some truth. Fuck yeah.
I got to pick my ass up out of bed. I know what's going down.
I look in the mirror every morning, so you fucking.
So here's a funny story. Quick, the company that I worked for was sold a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And while I was working there, but my former boss came into work one day, and he was like 75 years old, so he didn't give a fuck. And he walks into work, he looks at me, doesn't even say hello, nothing, whatever. He looks at me, he goes, "I got to tell you, you're getting fat." And his wife worked with us, and she's like, "Bob, you can't say that." And I'm laughing.
Wait, is Bob fat? Is he fat? Is he fat?
No, he's very thin.
Okay.
But it was so funny because like her face dropped, and I'm just laughing because like one, I'm well aware, but it was just great. Like, I appreciate that. That's what I need to hear. Like, give me some motivation, But it was fun. Obviously, it didn't work because I'm still fat, but it was funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious. Last thing before you dip out here, Dan, what do you have to say to any supporters you have? I mean, you do have a lot of supporters. Everyone's loving fucking the podcast today. Great episode. But you have people who are literally asking or looking to get into the projects that you've been doing. So what are your words for them? Anything you could give them? Any kind of advice?
The first thing is the short tail community is honestly, and it's going to look like homerism because I'm in short tails, but part of the reason that I love the snake so much is the people are so great. So it's a very welcoming community, and the biggest difference in that community to me than others is it's not a competition. And I think chondros is like that too for the most part. A lot of the chondro guys are real supportive. I know I watched Bill here with you. There's some that won't help you.
Bill's the man for sure.
Bill's
awesome. The pioneers that are around and fucking are active, like Patrick and fucking like those there's a lot of support. Don't mind my facial reaction. There's definitely mad with support out there.
No, but I know there's also some people that are the other way. But the short tail community is really welcoming. It's really great. But they are people that like, if you come in like and you don't have any experience and you start running your mouth, they'll definitely put you in your place. They're not going to tolerate that. But like every time that we have a clutch or we have whatever, they're so supportive and everybody's happy for you. There's no competition. There's friendly competition, joking around and stuff. Like Elijah and I joke because he's a big T negative albino guy. I'm a big T positive. So we'll fuck with each other and joke around. But like, I'm totally supportive of his project and he's supportive of mine. And, that's kind of how we are, but it feels like a family. When I started with like ball pythons and stuff like that, it always felt like everybody wanted to not necessarily belittle you, but they wanted to make it clear that they were above you. Whereas short tails, it seems like everybody wants to raise you up. And so I really appreciate that about it.
Dan, sorry, no, but to capitalize what you just said right now about, they want to make sure that they're above you.
Yeah.
And as soon as they feel like you're not, then that's when everything goes south. I can tell you that right now. And I've had a lot of experience with that. Let me just say, but go ahead, please.
Yeah. So I've really enjoyed that. So that's a good positive to get into the animals. And then the animals themselves are great. And, so I think anybody that gets into it, as long as you do it right and you cage them right and you do your research and you learn, you'll really enjoy the experience. They're wonderful animals. I would say probably 9 out of 10 of my customers that get their first short tail from me come back for 1, 2. Some people come back for 7 or 8. So it seems to be something that people really enjoy. It's very infrequent that I sell one to somebody and they don't go, "Wow, like this snake's really awesome." I have a customer, she only bought one, but she messages me all the time with updates. And she's like, his name's Peanut. And she's like, "Peanut is so interactive and just so much different than everything else that she's like, I love taking him out and spending time with him." And like I love that as a person that produced that animal because A, I know that animal's well taken care of. B, like I know that person's over the moon with that animal. And so if you can have a happy animal and a happy customer, like I don't know how it gets any better than that.
Right.
So definitely be prepared to have more than one because I think most people are won over very quickly by them. But yeah, just do your research and if you can find somebody willing to mentor you, that definitely helps a lot. It helped me immensely because I've learned so much from Kara and about life, about short tails, about everything. So it's definitely been a big help to me, and I've done it for other people. And lots of people in that community are willing to do that. So it's really, really a cool place to be.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Dan, Madman Dan. Madman Dan. Thank you so much, man. What a great episode.
I have to do it.
Yeah, bro, this is fucking some gold. I definitely feel this is round 2 worthy. So would love to bring you back on. Maybe who knows? I'll bring you on with another short tail guy. We'll see what we could work out. But I appreciate your time, man. Make sure you guys go follow my man Dan. And then obviously make sure you go check out his YouTube channel, right? So what is your exact name of the YouTube channel?
Just Dan Magano Snakes.
Dan Magano Snakes.
I made that and Instagram are the same. I made it easy because before I had the Instagram different, everybody was confused. I'm like, I'll just change my Instagram and have them both the same. But the YouTube is not, you're not getting flash and flare there. You're not going to get super cool graphics. I'm not a tech guy.
Content.
The information is very solid.
Definitely.
And I try to, the same thing you were talking about earlier before when you were introducing this, like I'm not trying to just go and talk to all the big name people. I'm trying to talk to the people that I respect, the people that, are in the trenches doing this stuff with passion for it. Not that the big name people don't have passion, but
right.
It's just a little bit different. And everybody on YouTube, there's a million videos you can go watch with your, Kevin's and Brian Barczyk's and stuff like that. There's not a lot of videos with these intermediate people that might be having great success, but you haven't heard of just because, they don't have that big media footprint. Like my buddy Josh is probably one of the smartest people in this hobby. I say that I have no problem saying that. He's crazy intelligent. Every time I talk to that man, I learn something. But he's not like a real gung-ho social media guy. He's not a real gung-ho listen to me talk. Like he hates being on camera. I got him to do 7 videos with me, which like anybody that knows him was like, holy shit, how did you do that? And I was like, I just blitzed them. We did them all in like a day and a half, But there's some videos on the channel from him. Like I did some stuff with tegus. I knew nothing about tegus, and now I feel like I'm prepared to have one just from talking to him. So I try to highlight people like that you might not know, but that you have a lot to learn from. So I hope that people appreciate that kind of content because, like I said, when I decided to start the YouTube channel, I looked at what I felt like there might be a lack of and what I could bring to the table. And so I tried to capitalize on my strengths and fill that void that I saw. Because I see a lot of like big YouTubers that know nothing and they're giving out horrible information that's just wrong. And so I won't ever do that to you. If I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know it. But the information that I give you is stuff that I time tested myself and with others. So that's my goal, is to have more informed keepers.
There it is. Fucking Dan, man. I appreciate it, man. Looking forward to seeing your progress, your project and stuff. Like I said, make sure you give this guy a follow on Instagram and subscribe to his channel. Link to those pages are going to be in the description below. But Dan, you have a great night. Thank you so much. And we'll be in touch, man. Thank you.
You as well, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Catch you later, bro.
All right. See ya.
Fucking Dan. Magano. Snakes. Guy's the shit, man. Learned so much. There were so many things I was like in question with short tails, bloods, and we literally got this in 2 hours, which obviously could have been more. I feel like I could have talked to Dan for at least another 2 hours. Guys is so informative, and he's low key. Like he's a low key dude, and I enjoy getting relationships with people like Dan because he's in it for his reasons, and it's not for clout, it's not for money. It's for just progression on what he's working with. And that's what I'm in it for. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't want to make a living off this someday. But more importantly, I want to be so in debt and knowledgeable with what I have instead of just fucking, just being somebody who's fucking not even, you know, experienced and coming out with YouTube channels, making it seem like I'm Mr. fucking Experience, and I'm really not Mr. Experience. I could fucking maybe build a rack, right? But I can't hatch a fucking goddamn ball python clutch. The fuck? Come on. Like, don't be fooled by that shit, man. There's too much of it out there going on. Too many people want to fucking be somebody, okay? And they fucking put this persona out like they have a foundation establishment, what they're doing, when really they're good at making it seem like they're, you know, like for instance, you see someone could build a snake rack. Does that mean they're a fucking great snake breeder? No, not at all. You see someone who could fucking design a logo. Does that mean they're a great snake breeder? No, not at all. Has nothing to do with it. So don't get fucking fooled by it. You know what I mean? That's it. Ow, my elbow. Anyways, this was a great night. I had a fucking great time. This was amazing. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. I'm definitely going to go back and watch this because, like I said, a lot of knowledge being dropped from my man, Dan. And round 2 worthy, that's for sure. He's the first short tail blood python guest we've ever had. So super stoked for this, man. Before I let you guys go, if you were new to the channel tonight, or if you've been to the channel and you're just like, well, fuck, I'm not going to subscribe. Just hit the fucking subscription button. Hit that subscribe button. Smash that like. Beat the shit out of it for me. Leave me a comment. And make sure you tune in, man. This happens every Thursday night. I don't miss a beat. You guys know this. Trap Talk with MJ. Every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, man. All right? Shouts out my Patreon members. You guys are my fucking familia, fucking tight-knit group. If you want to support the channel more than subscribing, then fucking go down to the link, join the Patreon page, holla at your boy, become a part of the family, get more in depth with what I got going on with both podcasts. I talk about Unfiltered, and I talk about the Trap Talk, and I bring fucking special guests on. We talk about marketing, breeding, everything that you got to do to become better at what you're doing. I'm fucking bringing to that fucking Patreon page. Giveaways. I'm only doing giveaways to my Patreon members because I know them. You feel me? But yeah, man.